Morning, everybody. Mike Missanelli Show is on the air. 97.5, The Fanatic, and we got a lot to talk about today with the Eagles losing some free agents. Wow. So let's take a little inventory of what has happened over the last 24 hours. So Isaiah Rodgers, gone. He goes to Minnesota Vikings for 2 years, $15 million, $8 million guaranteed. Milton Williams, the big get for Milton Williams, signs with the New England Patriots. We were talking about yesterday to the Carolina Panthers. I'm going, why would you want to go there? Well, why would you want to go to New England? I'll tell you why. 4 years, $104 million, $63 million guaranteed from Milton Williams. Josh Sweat to the Arizona Cardinals. 4 years, $76.4 million, $41 million guaranteed. Oren Burks, he goes for cheap to the Cincinnati Bengals for 2 years, worth $5 million. It looks like Slay's going to the Steelers, and also the Eagles traded Kenny Pickett to the Cleveland Browns for a fifth-round pick and a backup to the backup, Dorian Thompson-Robinson. They got their third quarterback, so all you Tanner McKee people feel good that he's probably elevated to the backup role. So here's what we can make of this. Either you are of the opinion that, no problem, Howie Roseman has something up his sleeve, right? Whether it's in the draft, remember, or whether it's going to sign somebody else or make a trade. You remember when Howie said, you got to be patient. It's not going to look like, immediate fixes. There's a lot to the free agent period that has to be developed. And so either you have the blind loyalty that Howie's going to get it done, have faith in Howie, or you have a little panic situation here that the Eagles lost these players. Now, I don't get the impression that the Eagles wanted to keep any of them. So there's that. And that tells me that Howie has earned enough trust to say, okay, well, he's got a plan. He certainly doesn't have his pants down in this situation. So we'll go to Mr. Football, Mr. Touchdown USA, Bill Colarulo. Bill, what do you make of this whole thing?
Well, good morning, Michael.
Good morning.
So here's the thing. Yes, this was anticipated. We knew that the Eagles were going to lose a lot of players on the defensive side of the football, and Howie Roseman did warn us about this and told the fans, I need you to be patient. But at the same time, even though it was expected, I think it's okay to look at this defense and have some concerns. Now, it's still early in the process. We know Howie Roseman is very good with those second and third wave free agents. He'll make moves all the way up through training camp, even into the season if he has to. But when you look at that defense, you should be concerned right now and question, well, what is the plan? Because I do see a lot of fans saying, it's fine. They have people in-house to step up. Well, that's true to an extent. Yeah, I'm excited to see what Maro Ajomo can do trying to replace Milton Williams. But that's a big ask. What can Nolan Smith and Jalix Hunt do trying to replace Josh Sweat? Again, that is a big ask of a guy like Jalix Hunt. Who's going to be the starting corner opposite Quinyon Mitchell? Because you're losing Slay most likely. You lost Slay's backup in Isaiah Rodgers. Well, I'm excited to see what Keely Ringo can do, but a big ask. So they need to do something, and Howie Roseman's going to sign some veterans, I'm sure. But to have the blind faith, this is where I have my concerns. Because even though every move Howie Roseman made this offseason that we just had, outside of Bryce Huff and Devin White, worked, you only got to go back to after Super Bowl 57 where they had a similar offseason where they lost their starting linebackers. They lost their starting safety, both starting safeties. And look at the moves that were made. They didn't hit. Howie Roseman signed Terrell Edmonds. Fail. They signed Zach Cunningham and Nicholas Morrow. Fail. So that really set this defense back 2 seasons ago. So you have to question, trust but verify, right? Like we have trust, but don't just blindly trust. We're not a cult here where everything Howie Roseman says we just acknowledge as gospel. It's okay to be a little bit concerned, but also understand it's a long process, but they have to do something. You can't just rely on the current roster. You don't have enough depth, and you can't just rely on the draft. They have to sign some free agent veterans.
So you're kind of right in the middle.
Exactly.
Well, in the middle. Come on, give me an opinion one way or the other.
Well, it's early.
Can't middle it.
Well, I'm in the middle right now. Now, if you told me that this is the roster they're going into the season with, yeah, now I'm going to be very concerned. But that's just not possible. They don't have enough players right now at these key positions where you're going to have to add people. Now, you look at the D-tackle position. Yeah, I'm excited, like I said, about what Morrow Ajomo can do, but they're going to have to add some pieces there because Jordan Davis is not an every-down defensive tackle. We don't know what Ajomo is going to do having a bigger role. What are you going to do there? You have to add some depth. Jonathan Allen has just signed with the Vikings. Javon Hargrave just signed with the Vikings. So some of these free agents are coming off the market. I hope Howie has a plan. I'm assuming he has a plan, but you're going to need depth, especially at the edge rusher.
Well, listen, I got to be honest with you. I am completely unfazed by this whole thing.
Yeah, but you say that.
I'm going to tell you why. Because I look at it pragmatically. Now, Vic Fangio is consulted on all this. There's no question in my mind. So Vic Fangio says, all right, well, listen, you told me you weren't going to be able to bring back Milton Sweat, and I can see why. Milton Williams got $26 million a year. I get it that you're not going to pay at $63 million guaranteed. I get that. Sweat, yeah, he had a good year last year, but he's good, and he's so $16 million a year for him on an average. All right, I can see why you don't want to pay him that. The other guys, listen, let's face it. Isaiah Rodgers, nice player, did a nice job for it. He's all right, but we're kind of good there. Burks, the linebacker, he's replaceable. We could always find another Burks. Dean's coming back. We got Trotter. We could probably draft a guy. Slay, I'll be okay with Slay for one more year. If not, no big deal. We're good. The thing about the Eagles that you have to understand is that their core is much greater, if you want to put the greater than sign, than the fragmented losses they have suffered here, which aren't really losses yet. So I absolutely have no problem whatsoever with because these guys, you were going to lose them.
Yeah.
And was it really necessary to sign Warren Burks or Isaiah Rodgers? Were they that necessary?
Aaron Burks started in the Super Bowl.
I get
right?
it, but come on,
Isaiah Rodgers played meaningful reps. Listen, if they lose Darius Slay, Avonte Maddox, and Brandon Graham, if you add them into the free agents you lost yesterday, even though it's all anticipated, Mike, you're talking about 2,953 defensive snaps between all of the defensive players you
you're
lost.
Looking at the snaps and not the players.
But what I'm saying is, to just say, oh, it's completely fine. You have to find guys that can fill these amount of reps.
Well, who can't? What do you find Maddox and Graham reps?
Well, let me ask you this. I agree with you. I would not have paid Josh Sweat or Milton Williams those amount of money. But to just dismiss the Josh Sweat and Milton Williams losses and just think that Jalix Hunt, who was a third-round draft pick out of Houston Christian last year, who you saw come on at the end, he's not going to be able to replace him.
You're missing the point. You couldn't sign those guys.
I agree.
Well,
but it doesn't.
You can't lament it. If you can't sign them and it's impossible to bring them back, how could you lament it?
Because, yes, I agree with you. You couldn't bring them back, but at the same time, it doesn't mean, we couldn't bring them back, so our defense is fine. No, you still have holes on defense.
Of course. What do you think? He doesn't know we have holes?
Okay. But how are you filling those holes?
Well, you're going to fill
That's what I'm concerned about.
Fill them with guys where you don't have to pay $63 million in guaranteed money to somebody, which is a complete overpayment for both of those guys.
And I did not want to see Howie Roseman pay Milton Williams that amount of money or Josh Sweat. I'm completely okay with it. This is why I say I'm in the middle. I'm not panicking, but you can't just have blind faith.
You can't be in the middle with the inevitable. That's what I'm saying. The inevitable. You're ignoring the inevitable. Is this a big shock that they're losing these guys?
It's not a big shock, but you still need to replace them.
Bill, where are they going? They're going to go to. Are they going to Bali now? They're going on vacation. They're not going to try to replace anybody.
Yeah, but you're acting like that's so easy. Who you get? Who you signing?
Was it easy to find Isaiah Rodgers? Was it easy to find Burks? Was it easy to find those guys in the first place?
Once again, I'm going to give you the example from 2 years ago. Was it easy to find Terrell Edmonds, Zach Cunningham, Nick Morrow, Shaq Leonard, Kevin Byard, Miles Jack? Yeah, that didn't work.
Because
so
you didn't
you're
have
not always going to hit.
You didn't have Jalix Hunt. You didn't have Nolan Smith. You didn't have Moro Jomo. You didn't have those guys. That's why it was difficult. Let's take a break. We'll come back. This is a spirited discussion. Bill's in the middle. How are you in the middle? I don't get it. Either you like it or you don't.
I don't like that they lost the players. I understand it, why you couldn't pay these guys. But now I got to sit here and say, all right, what is the plan?
I don't think you
What's the plan?
I don't think you understand it. You're not being pragmatic. 610-632-0975 is how you get into the show. Text board, phone calls. Let me know. Blind faith in Howie, or do you lament something, or are you like Bill? We're kind of in the middle. The Mike Missanelli Show returns after this.
Tyrone Johnson.
In stereo. Mike Missanelli Show, 97.5. The Fanatic Sixers lost last night. Awesome. And did you see around the league? Oh, everybody. The Nets won. The Raptors won. Oh, it's rounding into form, baby.
All good. And just see Quentin Grimes.
Oh, there's your boy, Q.
He dropped 35.
There's your boy, Q.
You know what's crazy about him? He'll drop 30-something points, and yet he's still a minus. So last night he had 35. He was still a minus 10.
Yeah.
He don't play defense.
All right. All I count is the L. The L is the only thing that counts.
Yeah, we'll take it.
All right. So all kinds of maneuvering going on around the NFL. Bill, give me a little recap on the quarterback carousel.
Wild in the quarterback carousel.
Sam Darnold goes to Seattle.
So I'm trying to figure out what the hell Seattle's
A
thinking.
trade, basically. They traded Geno for Sam Darnold.
So you trade Geno Smith, you get rid of Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf, and then you sign Sam Darnold. It's like, I don't understand their thought process here, but I'm sure they have a plan.
Justin Fields, gosh, is in too. But the Steelers do not have a quarterback, and they're flirting with the name, Aaron Rodgers. Now, they just signed DK Metcalf to a big contract. Does that mean Aaron Rodgers is going to Pittsburgh, Bill?
That's the rumor right now. Could you imagine, though, you're going to have George Pickens, who's a head case, DK Metcalf, who's not always the easiest, and now you're going to add Aaron Rodgers into the mix. Very unlike Pittsburgh.
Steeler culture will absorb those gentlemen.
But this is a very different Steelers offseason than what we've seen before. But, typical, though, you talk about typical offseasons. The New York Jets giving Justin Fields 2 years, $40 million. Like, the Jets are a mess, and they're always going to be a mess. And bad organizations continue to do stupid things. It'll just be interesting, the average quarterback carousel, because where are these people going to go? And then you look at the Vikings, they're spending like crazy. They better believe in their second-year quarterback, J.J. McCarthy.
The Vikings and the Commanders look pretty good, Bill. I don't know. What do you think? Challenge to the throne?
Now, I still think, look, the Eagles. See, here's what I don't understand. I'm looking at the YouTube chat. People saying.
Bill seems to be perplexed today.
Well, because people are saying I'm in 911.
First of all, we're being produced by Austin Davis today and not Ray.
Austin Jones.
Austin Jones. I'm sorry. What did I say?
Not to be confused with Austin Hayes.
Austin Jones.
Definitely not Austin Hayes.
Welcome to the show, Austin.
Good morning.
Does this sound like Bill's trapped in the middle?
Well, a little bit. Just a little.
Yeah,
well, listen.
You're going to play that Jimmy Eat World song, The Middle.
But I think, see, this is the beautiful thing about sports and sports talk. People on the YouTube channel, Bill's in instant reaction 911 mode. No, not at all. In fact, that's not my message. I don't think that we should panic. But at the same time, the beautiful thing about following a sports team is when they lose players to discuss and analyze what they should now do. To just have this crazy, they'll be fine. I keep hearing people, they'll be fine. They got Morrow Ajomo. They'll be fine. They have Jalix Hunt. You have to have some veteran depth on this football team, which I'm sure Howie's looking for, but we could debate whether or not he makes the right move.
Well, we can debate that when he makes the right move. But you got him, I'm telling you got the whole front office going to Bali for the next several months and not doing anything. Like, what do you think they're doing there? Do you think they had this planned out? Of course they knew they were going to lose these guys. They didn't want a couple of these guys, and they knew they couldn't pay a couple of these guys. Do you think they've been working behind the scenes?
I 1,000% agree with you that they are working behind the scenes. But what I'm telling you is we saw a very similar offseason after they went to the Super Bowl 2 years ago and how we missed on every single acquisition they made to replace starters. So I look at this team, and I just hope that doesn't happen again.
Because they also didn't have Fangio. Fangio goes, that guy can play. This guy can't play. Bond, he can play. This guy, don't you trust that? Like you think Fangio's going, hey, I can't lose Oren Burks. I can't lose Isaiah Rodgers. You think if he said that, those guys would still be on this team?
I think that if Fangio wanted Oren Burks and Isaiah Rodgers for the amount of money that they got in free agency, they probably would be here.
So Fangio's going,
Yeah. So, but they're going to have to. What I expect to see happen is I do think they're going to sign a veteran corner. Look, there's still a chance they bring back Slay. Did you see the Steelers report was then refuted that it's not final? Apparently, he's still under contract. The Eagles haven't officially released him yet. So there's still a possibility. But I think you bring in a veteran corner to compete with Keely Ringo for that other starting job. At the defensive line, we know how important it is to have a lot of players who can play. So when you only are going into a season right now with Jalix Hunt, Nolan Smith, and Bryce Huff, who knows what the hell you're going to get from Bryce Huff, they got to add to the edge rusher room. And then at D-tackle, you got to do the same thing. So they're going to have to add pieces. That's why I'm not panicking. It's just, what are they going to do?
You're not panicking. You're kind of stuck in the middle. I think it's really interesting. But again, I got a Fangio. Hey, Vic, Oren Burks. You know how old Italian guys go? Yeah. You know? I can see Fangio go, well, how about Rodgers? Nice kid, You know?
Yeah.
That's what I'm guaranteed.
Now, it's interesting, though, because I would have thought what Arn Burks getting, what did he get, 2 years, $5 million?
Yeah,
You're right.
He
Fans
got nothing.
He got nothing, and he played really well down the stretch with the absence of Nakobe Dean.
A good defensive coordinator sees the foibles, right? He goes, listen, they're good players for. Like I got them to play in this system, and we were carried along by a lot of other better players. But if you're asking me whether is it necessary to keep them, man, we could. Guys like that are a dime a dozen around the league. That's basically what he's saying.
Yeah, so hopefully they'll find somebody. It's just. Look, maybe I still have post-traumatic stress from 2 years ago with that linebacker position. Now, at least you have Zach Baun, so maybe you could fill in. Like, we don't know, is Nakobe Dean going to be able to stay healthy? Is Jeremiah Trotter Jr. ready to step up? So it's not panic. It's just, That's kind of how I'm looking at it. Like, all right, well, what are they going to do?
I'm sitting here, and I have no whatsoever. It's like another day at the office for me.
Yeah, but
Another day at the office. I go, the core is so much better than these little tidwiddly things they have to fill in. It's like, come on. I'm on easy street today. All right, let's take a break. We got a call. We got text. 610-632-0975. So Austin, you play music, I think, as we go into the break.
Gotcha.
Got it?
Gotcha.
That's the way we work it, Bill?
Yeah, you signal to us with a little music low in the background.
Little low in the background.
Sometimes we're idiots and we run past the break.
Yeah, no, you guys sounded good. I didn't want to interrupt, but I got you.
Interrupt anytime you want with a little music.
Sounds good.
All right, it's the Mike Missanelli Show. We're back after this.
Fanatic Sports Update.
I'm Austin Jones, and this is your Fanatic Sports Update. This update is brought to you by the Bet Parks online casino sportsbook app. Play your favorite casino games and bet sports on the Bet Parks app. You love to play. You play to win. You bet Parks. You must be 21 and in PA or New Jersey. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Now, NFL free agency is underway, and players have been flocking the Eagles' nest. Milton Williams has signed with the Patriots. Josh Sweat signed with the Cardinals. Isaiah Rodgers to the Vikings. Oren Burks went to Cincinnati. And the Eagles have traded Kenny Pickett to the Browns for a fifth-round draft pick and quarterback Dorian Thompson-Robinson. If there's any more signings or trades, we will make sure to keep you up to date. The Sixers fell to the Hawks 132-123 last night and are on the road to Toronto to face the Raptors Wednesday night. Tip-off is 7:30, and you can listen to the game here on 97.5 The Fanatic. The Flyers are back on the ice as they host the Ottawa Senators tonight in South Philly. Puck drop is set for 7 p.m. You can listen to the game here on 97.5 The Fanatic. Mick Abel is on the mound today as the Phillies will face the Boston Red Sox. First pitch is 1:05. And this report is also sponsored by Electrical Workers Local 269 and the Electrical Training Alliance. The International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers Local 269 will be accepting applications starting January 1st until March 31st at IBEW269.com. I'm Austin Jones on the home of the 76ers and Flyers, 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
right, 10:30. Mike Missanelli Show, 97.5 The Fanatic, 610-632-0975. Free agency upon us. Eagles lose. Well, they lost 5 players yesterday. Now, one of them's a backup quarterback nobody liked anyway. Are the Cleveland Browns really going to make him the starter?
I guess he's going to.
Kenny Pickett going to be the starter for the Browns?
I guess he's going to compete. Is Deshaun Watson? Is he going to be healthy?
I don't think he is.
He suffered like a re-tear of that Achilles in January, so he's very questionable.
Kenny Pickett's QB1, and they got a QB1 for a 5th-round pick and a backup.
I guess not bad move on their part.
Well, if you believe Kenny Pickett could be a QB1,
well, he was in Pittsburgh. He didn't set the world on fire, but he won some games.
Somebody likes him.
But this is again why paying Myles Garrett all that money just didn't make sense. If you're the Cleveland Browns and you're not ready to compete right now, you could have got an unbelievable haul if you traded him. Maybe a couple first-round picks. Who knows? And you save all that money on the salary cap. But again, bad organizations do stupid things, and Cleveland's been a pretty bad organization.
Yeah. All right, let's go to text board first, and then we'll go to our phone calls with Brandon in Downingtown. What are the texts saying, Austin?
Yeah, so do you think the reason why the Eagles aren't spending right now is because they know that they're going to have to give Jalen Carter potentially $100 million guaranteed in a couple of years?
Well, I don't know. There's always a way to figure out a salary cap as you go down the road. You can restructure and do something like that. I don't think it's that. I think that right now they don't have a lot of cap money. And so they're trying to figure it out whether they can, their depth can replace these guys, and they sign just kind of like journeyman type players they can fill in, or whether they can target in the draft and think that they can grab at least one guy that can back up the positions they need.
See, the whole they'll find someone in the draft argument gets me concerned because you're picking 32 in the first round. You're picking 64th. In the second round. And as good as the Eagles have been in drafting the past couple of seasons, this year was the outlier. You usually don't have rookies like Quinyon, Cooper DeJean, and Jalen Hunt that all contribute as rookies. Go back 2 years ago. Nolan Smith was taken 30th overall. He did not contribute as a rookie. As good as he was in year 2, did not contribute as a rookie. You can go back to Milton Williams' rookie year. As good as he was down the stretch the last couple of seasons, he didn't contribute as a rookie being a 3rd-round draft pick. So the argument that I've seen.
Hold on a second.
We got breaking news. Hold on.
Breaking news.
Hit the breaking news.
Now, breaking sports news from 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
The man who got into a recent beef with Darius Slay, who is very controversial, has been peddled again by the Eagles. Apparently, he's too much for the Eagles to handle. C.J. Gardner-Johnson has been traded to the Texans. Who did they get here, Bill?
This is wild here. Okay, so we got, let's see, update from Adam Schefter. Houston is acquiring veteran safety C.J. Gardner-Johnson from the Eagles in exchange for former first-round pick Kenyon Green. The trade also includes a pick swap with the Eagles getting a 2026 5th-round pick and the Texans getting a 2026 6th-round pick. Now, Kenyon Green is an offensive lineman who was taken in the first round of the 2022 NFL Draft. He started 9 games last season, did not play in 2023 due to an injury to his shoulder. He started 14 games in 2022. This is a very interesting trade. Man, was CJ GJ in the doghouse with the Philadelphia Eagles? Because how does this make sense?
You know, I gotta think that he's just so much a pain in the ass that they didn't want to deal with him anymore. Now, he was a pain in the ass the first time, which is one of the reasons why they traded him. But then they got criticized because they didn't have any attitude. So they bring him back, and he was a pain in the ass again. And then this latest thing with Slay, maybe it's like, you know what, enough. He's going to only cause us problems this year. We can't do this anymore. Boom, he goes. Now, this is a very interesting thing. Do they think Sidney Brown can step in here? Is that what they're thinking?
You're the one with the blind faith. Tell us, Mike.
Well,
What's the plan here?
I don't know. I haven't really seen enough of Sidney. Sidney Brown reminds me of Ricky Council IV.
Well, Sidney Brown
he's
plays 100 miles an hour.
Yeah, he's like all over the place and really doesn't know how to play.
This is really interesting. I mean, you're talking now with the trade of CJ from your Super Bowl game, all right? From Super Bowl 59, Darius Slay was a starter, most likely gone. Josh Sweat a starter, gone. Milton Williams, basically a starter, gone. Aaron Burks, a starter, gone. Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, a starter, gone. Then you had Isaiah Rodgers play meaningful reps, gone. Avonte Maddox played some snaps. He's probably gone. Brandon Graham played some meaningful reps. He's gone. I mean, you're talking 8 guys that contributed in Super Bowl 59 gone on the defense alone. That's what I'm saying. Look, I'm not panicking. It's early, but, man, it's fair to question the direction of this defense right now. That's a fair question.
Look at you, man. Just like, really? Are you just saying this, or are you really concerned?
I wouldn't say I'm really concerned, but you certainly can't. If you watched the Philadelphia Eagles this year, and you saw how well the defense played, to lose all of these players on that side of the football, I think it's fair to be, man, what's the plan here? Yes, I'm sure they have a plan, but is it going to work? And we don't know yet.
Here's an interesting question, though, because C.J. Gardner-Johnson can't be the type of guy Fangio likes. Now, is Fangio like getting a little too strong-armed? I mean, it's a decent question. We'll talk about it. 610-632-0975. Mike Missanelli Show continues.
The Philadelphia 76ers.
Welcome back into the Mike Missanelli Show, 1040 on this legal tampering Tuesday. And man, oh man, the news keeps breaking with the Philadelphia Eagles losing defensive players. But this one, self-inflicted. because the Philadelphia Eagles have traded safety Chauncey Gardner-Johnson to the Houston Texans in exchange for offensive lineman Kenyon Green, who's been a little bit of a bust so far in his career. Maybe Jeff Stoutland sees something where he can salvage his career. But you talk about defensive starters from that Super Bowl team. You now don't have Josh Sweat. You don't have Milton Williams. You don't have Aaron Burks, who started in the Super Bowl. You don't have Isaiah Rodgers, who played some meaningful reps. And now you don't have Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. Mike, what is going on?
Well, listen, the C.J. Gardner-Johnson situation to me is they were exasperated. I mean, like he played well for them, but I think that they read tea leaves a lot, and they go, okay, this guy's like a temp. He's like a grenade that you roll on the ground, and it keeps rolling and rolling and rolling, and you know it's going to explode eventually, right? And I think that they're trying to move him before the explosion happens. He's just that type of guy. They don't trust him.
See, the thing is, and I get that. You're spot on probably with his type of personality. But one of the things we heard last offseason was that defense was lacking that dog, that attitude, and Chauncey added that. He certainly added that.
But guess who also does? Sidney Brown, if he's ready.
See, I wonder because you're saying Sidney Brown, but if you actually look, the first man off the bench when there was an injury at the safety position, it was Tristan McCullum.
Yeah, but that's
so. Do they like Tristan McCullum?
Because Sidney Brown wasn't ready yet. He was coming off an injury. They're working him. They didn't trust him yet. I think they trust him now. I think that Sidney Brown is more Fangio's type of player because he brings the attitude without the baggage.
Yeah, I'm looking here. So last year, Sidney Brown, and part of this was injury related. You're right. He only played 79 snaps on defense.
Yeah, Fangio didn't trust him, but I think he trusts them now. He looks at guys like, okay, Bond didn't show anything either, but I trust him to do X. Sidney Brown hasn't shown me anything yet, but I see him in practice. I know he does this. So I think this is all a Fangio influence situation defensively. Because Fangio go, okay, here are the cards, Vic. We can't pay Sweat. We can't pay Milton Williams. What do you think of this guy? What do you think of that guy? What do you think of that guy? I think Sidney Brown can replace your guy, so you can trade him. Like, I think this is all like this is not happenstance. The Eagles don't do happenstance. The Eagles they wouldn't lose players not knowing what the landscape was and why they lost those players.
You're probably right. I mean, I think Vic Fangio has earned that type of credibility with not only this organization, but really any organization in light of what he's done in his career. But he's the reason you found Zach Bond. And he's the reason that Zach Bond became who he was.
You got to trust him at this point. He had the number one defense in the league. I think he knows what he's talking about, and I think Howie defers to him. All right, so let's go to the phones. Let's go right away to the phones. And you can get in now for your reaction on what's going on with this. They've lost a lot of players. Do you have faith that they can just carry on? 610-632-0975 is how you get in. Let's go to Brandon in Downingtown. Brandon, what's up, man? Thanks for checking in. Brandon?
Michael.
Hello, Brandon.
Bill. Hey, perfect timing for me to jump on.
Absolutely.
Take a breath here. I know that this is a blow, but CJGJ, he does bring that intensity, that vocal leadership, but he's not really what Vic Fangio is looking for. He's looking for young, moldable players, and he's someone that just continues to be bullish and stand up against and defy leadership. It seems like a Howie type of move and the right move, but also bringing Kenyon Green. It's a Howie move, too. He's on the last year of a rookie deal. He's cheap. He's fixable, and that's going to be Becton's replacement. You're going to save money. Now you allocate some of those resources towards the edge rushers.
Becton hasn't signed yet, right?
He has not.
He has not signed yet, so maybe that's still a possibility.
No?
Well,
I don't see you bringing Kenyon Green in and keeping Becton. They're the same type of player. They're both like 350-pound road graders, and they're both busted-up people that need fixing. And, Becton got that fixing this year. I think it's Green's turn next year.
Okay.
But on the flip side, with safety, the Eagles have some assets to move around and move up to get Malachi Starks. He's a Georgia safety. He's a vocal leader. He's physical. He's the kind of player that Vic looks for.
Okay. Sounds good. Thanks, Brandon. Appreciate the call. So there you go. There's a man who doesn't have any problem at all. Now, he just said the Eagles just acquired a starter at right guard because it's inevitable they lose Becton. Although I don't know if that's inevitable. Is that inevitable?
No, there's still a possibility, but he makes a good point about this Kenyon Green being a guy who's in the final year of his rookie deal, who needs to be salvaged, who could play guard. But at the same time, you probably need a little bit of depth along that offensive line. So if you do bring back Mekhi Becton and you still have Tyler Steen, do you lose Fred Johnson? Fred Johnson was kind of a swing tackle that could fill in. Is that a Kenyon Green type? I don't know what their plan is.
Can Green play tackle?
He looks like he's a guard, but he's certainly big enough. Who knows? I mean, we didn't think Mekhi Becton could play guard when he got here. So I don't know. Jeff Stoutland, whatever he wants to do, I trust him. And if he signed off, just like you said, Fangio signing off on some of these defensive players out the door.
You know what's funny? The coincidence of us talking about Gardner-Johnson, C.J. Gardner-Johnson, Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, based on the Slay thing. Do you think that had any influence at all on the move that they made? Because we hadn't been hearing anything that he was in trouble, going to be moved, they didn't like him, whatever. All of a sudden, bang, and it comes on the heels of that Slay thing. And you were worried if they brought them both back.
Yeah. I wonder if it wasn't just this recent thing with Darius Slay that we saw unfold on Twitter, and it was more of maybe what had been going on all season long behind the scenes in a similar fashion that we didn't know about. Whereas Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, was he more of an issue than we even realized throughout the season?
He probably was.
Because this just seems like a strange move.
His track record is he's an incident anywhere he goes. But the Eagles took the chance because they needed it. And what it resulted in was the Super Bowl.
I'm looking to see if all right, Chauncey just tweeted out.
Okay.
I love you, Philly. We forever champions. Because I was curious if he was going to take the high road here or say something.
He took the high road.
He did. Now, interestingly, Lane Johnson, immediately upon the news breaking, all he tweeted out was Howie season. So maybe he don't have any issue with Chauncey out the door. Howie season is what Lane Johnson tweets out. Maybe there's a bigger move in the works.
See, this is where good reporting comes in. And we need to get reporters now to, like, what was going on with this guy? Did he cause problems last year? These are the kind of things that used to be reported. You know, by local people that covered the team. Now, I wonder if there's going to be a postscript written here about, you know what, C.J. Gardner-Johnson did this, blah, 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 blah. I keep saying Sidney, like I got Sidney Brown in my head.
Well, maybe he should be in your head because that may be the replacement.
Yeah.
It is. It's interesting, though, that with all the chatter about maybe Dallas Goedert moving on and certain players that the Eagles were interested in signing or not signing, we haven't heard anything that Chauncey Gardner-Johnson could be on the way out. Like, not a single reporter had this. So is this something that just came – see, this doesn't seem like something that just popped up today.
No.
Right? This is something that had to be – they knew they wanted to move on from him.
Yeah. All right. Take a break. We got plenty of feedback got to get to here. 610-632-0975. Blind faith in Howie, or are you a little, like Bill, concerned about this defense now? Number one defense. Fragmented all of a sudden. We're back after this.
Fanatic Sports Update.
I'm Austin Jones, and this is your Fanatic Sports Update. This update is sponsored by Bank of America. Whether you run a local shop or a global enterprise, Bank of America gives you access to business solutions make every matter. What would you like the power to do? Find out at bankofamerica.com/banking for business. Now, as you've just heard, C.J. Gardner-Johnson has just been traded to the Houston Texans for Kendrick Green and also some draft picks. That is just only the beginning of NFL free agency that the Eagles have suffered losses. Milton Williams has signed with the Patriots. Josh Sweat signed with the Cardinals. Isaiah Rodgers with the Vikings. Orrin Burks with the Bengals. And then the Eagles traded Kenny Pickett to the Cleveland Browns for a fifth-round pick and quarterback Dorian Thompson-Robinson. If there's any more movement, we will make sure to keep you updated here at the Fanatic. The 76ers fell to the Hawks 132-123 last night. Up next are the Toronto Raptors Wednesday night. Tip-off is set for 7:30, and you can listen to the game here on The Fanatic. The Flyers are back on the ice as they host the Ottawa Senators tonight in South Philly. Puck drop is set for 7 p.m., and you can listen to the game here on 97.5 The Fanatic. And Mick Abel is on the mound today for the Phillies versus the Boston Red Sox. First pitch, 105. I'm Austin Jones on the home of the 76ers and Flyers, 97.5 The Fanatic, 97.5thefanatic.com.
To fashion like the beat of your heart. I see a world in outer space. We spiral up and now we're standing on the
10:56, Mike Missanelli Show, 97.5 to Fanatic. Beautiful day today, by the way, man.
Oh, yeah,
it's going to be, what, 70?
67, I think.
67 degrees.
You hitting the links?
No. Today's a power washing day, man.
It's hooping season over here. Time to dust off the old high tops.
Are you hooping?
Yeah, me and the boys will go try to not blow out a hamstring.
Oh, you and the boys are going over to that park over there at the
No. Over in Fishtown.
You and your fellas, not the people here.
Nah.
Oh, okay.
He's practicing for knockout tournament.
Exactly. I got to warm up.
You got game?
A little bit. I'm a little not as agile as I would after the ACL injury, but we still can drop a bucket. Yeah, I tore it a few years ago.
That's no good.
No, sir.
No, sir.
All right.
Mike, I did a little bit more digging here in this Chauncey Gardner-Johnson thing because I'm thinking, all right, with the return that they got, maybe they're going to save a ton of money on the salary cap. Mm-hmm. Maybe they'll free up some space to do some moves. Mm-hmm. Well, according to Over the Cap, they only saved $211,000 on the cap this year. This is just doesn't make sense. There has to be. I mean, I don't want to speculate here.
That's a tie. That's a new tie for Howie. That kind of money.
Yeah. I mean, there's got to be more going on because the return you got just doesn't make sense, and you don't save a lot of money on the cap. Look, in Howie we trust. The people who say it. He's testing you right now.
He's a PETA. He's a PETA, Bill.
Oh, you're talking about Chauncey.
Yep.
Yeah, he is probably a little bit of a PETA. But I thought you needed that on this defense. Like 2 years ago when the 49ers came in here and Deebo Samuel just ran all over this team, nobody punched him in the mouth. Chauncey would have. And I felt like you needed that type of guy on this football team. Who'd you say is going to do it now? You said Sidney Brown, you think will be that guy?
Well, Sidney Brown's a very aggressive player. Now,
sometimes too aggressive.
Again, he's like a chicken without a head a lot.
Yeah.
But I think Fangio kind of likes him.
But if Fangio liked him, and I know some of it was injury related.
All of it was injury related. He's coming back. He wasn't ready to step in on a full-time, you make your bones on special teams and an occasional play here.
But here's the thing that has me scratching my head a little bit. When Darius Slay would get hurt, it wasn't Keely Ringo that was the first guy off the bench. It was Isaiah Rodgers. Well, you let Rodgers walk.
Veteran.
When Chauncey Gardner-Johnson or Reed Blankenship went down, it wasn't Sidney Brown off the bench. It was Tristan McCullum.
More of a veteran as an Eagle.
So it's just interesting. What is the plan? Are they going to now go out there and try to sign a veteran safety, a veteran corner? Do you just roll with the young guys?
I'm sensing something here with you. I'm sensing that you're doubting the Howie regime here.
Well,
that's the sense I get. A little bit.
I'll give you my opinion on this.
Okay.
I have said on multiple occasions that I think Howie Roseman may be the best general manager in all of sports with what he's done as GM of the Philadelphia Eagles. Building 3 Super Bowl teams, 2 of them who won, doing it with different quarterbacks, different coaches. He's phenomenal. But he's also not immune to making mistakes. And when you go back, you don't have to go back far. 2 years ago, they had one of the worst defenses in the entire National Football League. And I know a lot of people were saying, well, you got Fangio now, you had Sean Desai and Matt Patricia. That's true. But you also lacked personnel. There was a severe lack of personnel 2 seasons ago, and Howie Roseman built that defense too. So I'm not going to go into this offseason just saying, Howie Roseman knows how to build the defense, we'll be just fine. There's a lot of players that need to be replaced now on the number 1 defense in the NFL.
You are listening to Mike Missanelli Show, WPEN HD and WPEN HD1, Burlington, Philadelphia. Beasley Media Group station. We broadcast from the Comcast Business Studios, powering possibilities. You're interesting because you were on the record saying, how he didn't do anything early in the last season. How he didn't do anything to replace this defense. Blah, blah, blah. All of a sudden, it came along, and it turned out he did. And now you're kind of reluctant. You're going backwards now on Howie.
No,
it's interesting.
I'm not. Look, Howie Roseman, again, great general manager. I'm sure there's a plan, but I also think we would be naive to sit here and act as if every single move he makes all the time works. This is the same guy.
Let me ask you this. What were the bad moves?
This past offseason?
Just right now. The moves that he just made, what would you deem bad? Without even knowing what the replacements are.
I don't think that anything that's happened in the last 24 hours, I would say Howie Roseman made a mistake. I think it was the right move in letting Josh Sweat and Milton Williams sign elsewhere for the amount of money that they were paid. The Chauncey Gardner-Johnson move has me scratching my head. Maybe there's more to it. I'm not at the point where I'm saying Howie Roseman's making bad moves, but where I am at the point is wondering if he's going to be able to replace all these guys. And I think that's a fair question to ask when 2 years ago, when you lost a bunch of starters on defense, he couldn't replace them.
Here's the thing. If you are in the business of that, and you know you have to replace some guys, do you go into it blindly, or have you done massive studies on how you can replace these guys? In other words, you're not going to come out of the bathroom with your pants down. You got your belt buckled.
I don't know what that means.
You exactly know what it means.
I don't get it.
He had to anticipate all of these things, and what he anticipated was it's not that big of a deal that we lose X and Y and Z and A and B. Like let's go to the top of the alphabet again. But you know what I'm saying?
I get what you're saying, but at the same time, I mean, how do you look at the number one defense in the league this year, and you lost 5 or 6 of your players who contributed massively to that, and not just sit here and say, you know what, I'm a little nervous. Like, I'm sure, yes, there's a plan, but it doesn't mean everything. This is the same guy. And again, I have to keep prefacing this because God forbid you say anything negative about Howie. He's a great general manager. Don't overreact to what I'm saying. But, Mike, this is the same guy that signed Bryce Huff as his big free agent acquisition. That didn't work. That brought in Devin White to be the starting linebacker. That didn't work. Now, they lucked out in some ways that Zach Baun turned out to be who he was.
That's very fair. However, this is the number one defense. Is the core still intact of the number one defense? Well, let's just go down. What's the core? You tell me what the core is.
Well, I would say that the core right now in looking at this team.
It's Jalen Carter,
Zach Baun, Quinyon Mitchell, Cooper DeJean. Right?
Blankenship.
And Reed Blankenship, yes, there you go. Give him Reed Blankenship. So now you got 5 players.
That's the core.
And then you could throw in Nolan Smith. Right?
Okay.
I like Nolan Smith. You got to just make sure that the defensive tackle positions, you still got Jordan Davis. You're hoping Maro Ajomo steps up. Jalix Hunt has to take a big leap this year. Who's the other corner? Who's the other safety?
If it's the number one defense and you've got the core back, you can fill in. A lot of teams don't have the core. Let's go back to the phone. Let's go to Anton in Philly. Anton, you're on 97.5 The Fanatic. What's up?
Hey, what's up, Mike? How you doing?
Good, man. How you doing?
Not good, man. Not good at the
Let's hear
Not
it.
Good. Bill, you are right to feel the way you feeling, man, because I'm not liking this today. Yesterday, I was fine. I wasn't tripping. I was fine. Today, it's like now we doing things that's unexpected. Like, how you get rid of a guy? I mean, everybody say he talked too much and all this, but I thought this was a result-based business. Like, the 2 years that he was with us, we made the Super Bowl. This guy had over 10-plus interceptions. Like, I don't get it. Like, now Bill, you are right the way you feel. I feel it the same way you feeling, man. Like, I'm starting to have doubts. Like what's the plan? Like, now it's like it's getting serious now. Like, we trade for an offensive lineman that you said was kind of a bust. Like what is going on now? Explain this to me.
All right, let me just give you my feedback. And you're talking C.J. Gardner-Johnson obviously is bugging you a little bit. When you run an organization, now we don't know what happened inside that locker room all year long, and I assume he's a pain in the ass because he's been a pain in the ass everywhere. He's been a pain in the ass in New Orleans. He was a pain in the ass, even though he was a productive player with the Eagles. He was a pain in the butt when he went to Detroit, and he was back being a pain in the ass here. So it's like I said, the rolling grenade. The rolling grenade is imposing until it blows up, right? And sometimes you got to anticipate. Well, that's what I was saying. Like, I don't know what's going on behind the scenes, but sometimes an organization has to anticipate bad stuff to come.
I mean, I guess, but to me, it just blew up to a Super Bowl win. So I mean, how else blowing up could it? Like, I mean, it just produced the ultimate prize for us.
Yeah, that doesn't mean you have to keep them though. Super Bowl, you got the Super Bowl.
But like Bill was like Bill was saying, like, what's the plan? Like, who's going to replace him? Like you said, Sidney Brown? Like, I'm not knocking Sidney Brown, but come on, man. Like, CJ, he's a baller.
I get it. Sidney Brown might be a baller. See, the thing you don't know is what Vic Fangio sees in practice. You know what I'm saying?
I know what I know what I seen on Sundays. I seen him flying around the ball, getting picks. I seen that.
Well, you saw CJ Gardner-Johnson. Yeah, I got you. Antoine, thanks for the call, man.
I seen him playing 2 Super Bowls.
I hear you. Now that's tough to refute. He was here a couple of years and they went to the Super Bowl.
Both years that he was here.
Yes.
And I remember Howie Roseman speaking at the Combine, not this past season, but before, and they talked about how they really lacked that kind of toughness on the defense they wanted to bring back. And I think the exact words he used were, we have a chip on our shoulder. We want players with a chip on their shoulder.
Get it,
CJ had that.
By the same token, they got rid of him the first time for a reason. Well, he went to Detroit for a reason.
Yes, but that was mainly because he misread the market. The Eagles wanted him back. They pivoted. They paid James Bradbury instead. And then when Chauncey's agent came back, they had already allocated that money to James Bradbury. So they didn't necessarily want to get rid of him 2 years ago when they did.
All right. 610-632-0975. That's how you get in. It's the Mike Missanelli Show. Text or call. We're waiting to hear from you on what's going on with the Eagles losing all these players, trading one of them away. Mike Missanelli Show continues.
97.5 The Fanatics Knockout Tournament is back.
It's 11:12. Mike Missanelli Show, 97.5 The Fanatic. We're talking about a lot of free agent issues here, especially with the Philadelphia Eagles and what your Eagles look like right now. But Bill, let me just I just did a commercial during the break, and you do commercials with a lot of vigor.
What's up, everybody? It's Bill Colarulo.
Yeah, see,
Always energy.
You always use the same tagline. Yeah, hit that again, Austin.
What's up, everybody? It's Bill Colarulo.
What's up, everybody? Now, I want how come you open every commercial like that?
What's up, everybody? It's Bill Colarulo. That's a good question. Don't you usually say? Don't you just say it's Mikey Mitts?
No, I don't say it's Mikey Mitts. I say, hey, Mike Missanelli here. But you're saying, what's up, everybody? You're asking them what's up. You're just doing a commercial. There's no response that they can have. What's up, everybody? It's more like, you're not going, what's up, everybody? It's like, what's up, everybody? Who are you talking to?
Well, it's more like when you ask someone how they're doing and you don't necessarily want to. It's more just like, hey, how you doing? You don't really want them to give you back.
You start every commercial like that. Yeah, just play it again, Austin.
What's up, everybody? It's Bill Colarulo. I don't think I've ever realized it. Do I do, Austin? I'm going to put you on the spot, man.
The chat board will tell you.
It's a good amount of time, my boy.
You do it every single commercial. It's the same. What's up, everybody? It's Bill Colarulo.
Well, you keep hammering it, right? You keep hammering it. Then they're like, oh, wait, this is Bill. He's going to tell us about FanDuel.
The beauty of this whole thing is I'm such a ball breaker.
He's going to tie
I'm
used to it.
I got Austin to record that specifically so I could have this radio moment.
Yeah. I'm going to get a cup of coffee, and I come back, and you two are waiting in the weeds for me here.
What's up, everybody? It's Bill Colarulo. I just went to get a cup of coffee, and I'm back here, and I just want to tell you about.
I expect this from you. I don't expect it from Austin. And then how about this?
My partner in crime today.
How about Ray Dunn checking in on the YouTube chat saying it's every time? Come on, Ray Dunn. You're not even here taking shots.
It's First day on the job, Bill. I got to do what I'm told.
What's up? It's the same tone, too. What's up, everybody? It's Bill Colarulo.
Dude, it's all about consistency. And then they know, oh, wait, we're about to get a FanDuel read here.
It's all about consistency.
He's going to tell us what FanDuel's up to.
No, this is beautiful. The next commercial, I wonder how he handles it.
All right, it's coming up.
Now it's in his head.
Stay tuned, because I got one at 11:50. So we'll see how we do it.
Ray Dunn checks in. It's every single time.
I know. Come on, Ray Dunn. Oh, man. Yeah, people are saying ball buster Mike.
I am a ball buster.
You are, but I'm used to it, man. Thank God I grew up in a big Italian family, right? I think I would have lasted 30 days with you.
That's hysterical. All right, let's go back.
Where's Howie Roseman? I want Mike traded.
Let's go back.
He's a locker room
guy. Go back to the text board, and then we'll summarize all that's happened with the Philadelphia Eagles and the attrition on defense. And you wonder, well, is this going to be a different defense now? I mean, this is
damn right it's going to be different.
Ferocious defense. Everybody feared this defense, number one in the league. Now what are they? What's the text board saying, Austin?
Yeah, so this is another Bill, but this time he's all the way in Utah. The surprise moves from the Eagles, they're making moves that are indeed surprising, but we've seen this for years, and how can we trust them right now? We're a big dust cloud and waiting for things to settle. I'm sure Howie has something planned, something bigger and better.
Yeah, and here's the thing. He kind of told us, didn't he? Like, he kind of told us it's going to be a different way. You look at free agency this year. All I can tell you is to have patience. He primed the pump for this.
He did, but this... See, this is where
in other words, he's saying, trust me, is what he's saying.
He's saying, trust me. And I do trust Howie Roseman. I think he's the best general manager in the NFL, okay? But at the same time, there's just no guarantee that every move he makes is going to be the right one. And you're now not only asking him to replace a big contributor at D-tackle, a big contributor at edge, a contributor at linebacker, a contributor at safety, a contributor at your cornerback position. I mean, these are big positions to have to fill, and you just can't expect that every single young guy on this roster is going to be able to step up and play at a high level.
Let's look at it, okay? Let's look at you really lauded Nolan Smith last year. Now, I'm sure that the tape grades him out pretty well. Fangio liked him.
Yeah, Nolan Smith's fine.
He won Fangio over, okay? Ajomo had moments. They're counting on guys to step up that they have developed in depth. Now, I don't know whether it's going to, but when you're approaching it, you go, okay, I got this guy, and he looked like this. He gave us enough confidence to think we're going to step in. You're forgetting about Dean's coming back next year.
Who hasn't been able to stay healthy. In
yeah,
both
but
years.
he's still coming back. It's not like they don't have him.
No, true.
And then they got a backup in Trotter.
And you have a backup in Trotter who we haven't seen play, who was a fifth-round rookie for a reason. What I'm saying is maybe they're right, but to just assume that every move they make is going to be the right one, and as good as Nolan Smith is, you're not really replacing Josh Sweat with Nolan Smith. You're replacing Josh Sweat with Jalix Hunt, who looked very good down the stretch, but how does he perform getting more snaps? How does he perform being the guy?
I get that, but you also have to rely on instincts. Like the defensive coaches, especially the big man, has pretty good instincts on who can play and who can't, right? Would you agree with that?
Did you say Howie or Vic?
I'm talking about Vic.
Vic has instincts about who can play. I agree with you.
All right, so when you're a general manager, like you're not out there coaching the defensive line or the linebackers. A lot of it you're watching, yeah, but you're relying on guys go, hey, this guy can really play. You know? And so you make decisions based a lot on that information that you're getting from that staff.
I get what you're saying, but you still need – there's got to be guys that can rotate. Like, you still have to have – like, Chauncey Gardner-Johnson played over 900 snaps last year. He played 87% of the defensive snaps. You got to replace that. So even if, in practice, Sidney Brown and Tristan McCullum look good, you don't know how they're going to transition to be a guy that plays 90% of the snaps. The same thing when you look at the Jalix Hunts of the world. The guy played 23% of the snaps last season, and now you're going to ask him to step up and try to replace a guy like Josh Sweat.
I get it. On the other side, I want to talk more about this C.J. Gardner-Johnson situation and what may have transpired and what your instincts tell you, Bill. It's the Mike Missanelli Show. Back after this.
Fanatic Sports Update.
I'm Austin Jones, and this is your Fanatic Sports Update. This update is brought to you by Bradford White Water Heaters. When you need a new water heater, choose one that is built to be the best. Choose Bradford White. Now, as you've heard, C.J. Gardner-Johnson is on the move to the Houston Texans for Kenyon Green and some draft collateral. Milton Williams has signed with the Patriots. Josh Sweat has signed with the Cardinals, and Isaiah Rodgers has signed with the Vikings. Oren Burks is with the Bengals now, and the Eagles traded Kenny Pickett to the Browns for a fifth-round draft pick in quarterback Dorian Thompson-Robinson. If there's any more news that breaks, we will make sure to let you know. The Sixers fell to the Hawks 132-123 last night. Up next are the Toronto Raptors Wednesday night. Tip-off is set for 7:30, and you can listen to the game here on 97.5 The Fanatic. The Flyers are back on the ice as they host the Senators tonight in South Philly. Puck drop is set for 7 p.m. You can listen to the game here on 97.5 The Fanatic. Nick Abel is on the mound today for the Phillies versus the Boston Red Sox. First pitch is 1:05. And this report is also brought to you by True Green. True Green has a golf course, quality lawn for less than you think. Sign up at truegreen.com. That's truegreen.com. True Green, the official lawn care treatment provider of the PGA Tour. I'm Austin Jones on the home of the 76ers and Flyers, 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
7:25. Just if you're joining us, you can do the tally yourself. But the latest news is that C.J. Gardner-Johnson was traded to the Texans, and they got an offensive lineman in the deal. We already have told you they lost Isaiah Rodgers to the Vikings for cheap. Milt Williams with a monster deal. They could never re-sign him for that. It's $26 million a year he's making. Josh Sweat signs with the Cardinals, $16 million a year. The other one was Oren Burks signed with the Bengals, 2 years, $5 million, a pittance. So they didn't really think that much of Oren Burks. And then they traded Kenny Pickett to the Cleveland Browns for fifth-round pick and a backup quarterback, Dorian Thompson-Robinson. But this is the big news. And, of course, we were talking about it yesterday, the beef you had with Slay going on. And so, Bill, CJ took the high road, or his agent took the high road. His agent put out the words in a tweet, "Thank you, Philly," whatever. And then Darius Slay found himself a tweet out there, and he retweeted it. What was it?
Yeah, so Slay's back to the Twitter war. So the tweet that was posted by a guy named Pastor Carl Day says, CJ did all of that and confirmed that Slay was right. No way the Eagles would have traded away their secondary leader, in quotes, and Darius Slay reposts it. So maybe Slay was right.
So Slay had something going with him. That's pretty evident. If Slay would retweet that, he's got something going with him. So here's the question. You asked a really interesting question. Like, if there's beef, how could you bring Slay back? Well, now you can bring Slay back. There's no more beef, and the other guy's gone. We thought Slay would be gone, but the other guy's gone.
Well, now, look, we're being conspiracy theories here, but yesterday it gets reported early in free agency, Darius Slay is signing with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Remember, we saw that. And then that was refuted, saying, whoa, hold up. Maybe what happened was the Eagles reached out to Slay and said, hey, listen, don't sign with Pittsburgh. We're going to bring you back, but you got to give us 24 hours because we're getting rid of CJ. I mean, that's a possibility.
Or Slay said, I'd love to resign with you guys, but he got to go.
Yeah,
right.
Which is also a possibility. So we got to monitor that. Does Slay, in fact, sign?
Yeah, but I want to know what the beef is between those two guys. We had no whispers of any beef.
No, we did not. They kept a lot of things hush-hush this year, from my understanding.
They really did. So now we got to open that can. What was the beef?
Yeah, so last night, interestingly, Jennifer Slay, Darius Slay's wife.
Mrs. Banana Pudding.
Yes, you're right. Who was very active on social media. She tweeted last night just the simple words, or word, sheesh. And everyone's like, well, what's that mean? What's that mean? So maybe Slay told her what's going on, that this was going to happen. So I don't know. We're going to keep monitoring the Twitter account to try to figure out. Originally, I had said I did not want them to bring back Darius Slay because I looked at it saying, let's rely on some of these younger guys. But now that you've lost Milton Williams and Josh Sweat and you've traded away Chauncey Gardner-Johnson and you didn't re-sign Isaiah Rodgers, I think you almost have to bring back Darius Slay. You got to have some veterans on that defense.
Well, maybe that's the plan all along. I mean, who knows? That's very interesting. Very interesting. Like I said, Bill's a little more worried than I am about this. I think that they knew that this was going to happen. None of these things caught them off guard. In fact, they made a trade to enforce what they're trying to do in the offseason. And he said to be patient. And so I got to think they got some kind of plan. Now, again, until we see the plan and until the plan fails, well, I'm kept at bay. Like I can't make a judgment until something they do turns out to be a failure.
This is where you lose me.
Yeah.
I agree with you 100% that this was anticipated that you would lose Milton Williams and Josh Sweat because they were going to get big paydays, and they did. It wasn't necessarily anticipated that you were also going to lose Isaiah Rodgers, but maybe they anticipated that. It wasn't anticipated by the fan base that you were going to lose your starting safety, but clearly they anticipated it because they made the trade. But just because you anticipate something doesn't necessarily mean you don't have to worry now.
Here's what I will tell you. That you don't lose guys you really like. They really liked Vaughn. Look what happened. They're not going to lose guys they really like. They obviously didn't really like any of these guys that they lost in free agency or traded away. For whatever reason, C.J. Gardner-Johnson did not resonate with them for this particular situation. I don't think it was 100% because of Slay either. I think that maybe he was a PETA for Vic Fangio.
You're probably right, but again, to say that they didn't necessarily like these guys, I think they loved Milton Williams. You just can't pay him over $100 million.
Well,
I think they like Josh
I'm not
Sweat.
talking about Milt Williams, Josh Sweat. They knew they were out on that. Their salary cap situation could not provide for that. I'm talking about the marginal guys that you seem to be worried about, the little guys.
Well, I'm really worried about the defensive line. I mean, yes, I'm also worried about the cornerback position now. Who's your starter opposite Quignon? And now the safety, who's your starter opposite Reed Blankenship? But we know how good this team can be when you have a strong defensive
Bill,
line.
You couldn't have kept them. Like, you worry about
But it doesn't
things.
make it easier.
Well, but
just because you couldn't keep him doesn't mean that the defense is now fine. Well, we knew we were going to lose.
You're not very pragmatic. I'm more pragmatic than you. You worry about things that you can't control. You couldn't control how much they were going to pay Milt Williams or Josh Sweat.
Okay, I agree with you. But that doesn't mean that the defense is now fine because you just knew you couldn't pay them. You lost two of your big contributors on defense.
Okay, but that's where you got to rely on the expertise to replace them. Yeah, like, it's one thing to worry about something that you couldn't control. It's another thing to not have faith in the fact that they will have to come up with another plan that's going to have to work. It's their responsibility to do that. But they've shown you they could do that.
All right, well, let me ask you this. After Super Bowl 57, do you think the Eagles anticipated that they were going to lose Javon Hargrave, T.J. Edwards, Kazir White, Marcus Epps, and Chauncey Gardner-Johnson? I'm pretty sure they knew they were going to lose those guys because Hargrave got paid a ton, and they chose not to pay the linebackers or the safeties.
And you're saying they didn't adequately replace them?
Of course they didn't. They had the 30th ranked defense that year.
Maybe they learned.
Well, you would hope. Look, I know they're going to try to replace these guys, but it's not as easy as it's like it's easier said than done to replace high-level contributors on the number one defense in the league.
Can we have a list of free agents, right, that are still available? That they'll have to get cheap free agents, right?
Well, you're going to look for that second, third wave. You know, maybe the guys who didn't get the big deal want to come here on a prove-it year, and hey, if I play on that Vic Fangio defense, maybe I got a shot to get a big payday next year.
Let me ask you this. Justin Reed, can they pay him?
Is he still available? I got to get the updated list here. Let's see. I got to get the updated list.
He was as of like before the show.
Things are happening quickly.
Justin Reed, as we started the show, was available. 28 years old.
He's a safety. Mm-hmm. Possible.
Hargrave.
He's gone.
Oh, he is.
He went to Minnesota.
Okay.
This morning, along with Jonathan Allen. They got two nice defensive tackles.
Okay. There's a story about they're also going to lose Goddard, or they're looking to trade Goddard, looking to release him.
That's what I'm saying. It's like, at a certain point, how many stars can you lose?
But there's Juwan Johnson out there.
Look, I'm not as concerned. I want to see them keep Dallas Goedert. But when you have the amount of weapons that they have on offense, I think you can survive losing a Goddard, maybe even losing a Mekhi Becton. I'd prefer to keep both those guys, especially with the way you run the football. You need a tight end who's a dual threat in the blocking and the passing game. I'm more concerned about the defense simply because you're losing so much. You are now up to, with Chauncey Gardner-Johnson leaving, if Slay doesn't come back, we're talking close to 4,000 snaps that you have to replace, Mike. 4,000 snaps from last year. Like, this isn't just a snap of your fingers, as good as Howie Roseman is, that on this second, third wave of free agency, you replace all of these big contributors. That's why I think it's fair to take a step back and say, I trust Howie, but I do have my concerns and reservations about this defense now going forward until they see, and even the moves they make, I got to see it on the field. I mean, you're talking about a lot of new pieces now that got to fill in. I don't know, man.
All right. What's the text board saying, Austin?
Yeah, so a lot of people are checking in with the CJ news. CJ is going to get paid. He's not going to be paid by this organization. Thank you for your service, but his contract is going on to become an issue. He's outspoken and not afraid to say what he needs to say. If he ultimately doesn't get paid here, then you better nip it in the butt now and send him away for some type of compensation. Howie has a plan. There are second and third wave vets that can come in cheap that might want to try to win a Super Bowl. And of course, will Slay return now? That's the main question in the chat.
All right.
It's possible. It's possible.
What is the YouTube chat saying, Bill?
YouTube chat's
Are they with you?
It's kind of split. Now, I don't know if people are just trolling, but some people are really overreacting. I mean, Money Mar saying Eagles' new slogan, "See you in 2026."
Uh-huh.
So I don't know if that's him being a
writing
troll.
off the entire year?
So some people are concerned. Others are kind of like you, saying this is expected. I think if we were to poll the audience, it's probably a 50-50 split right now of people who are concerned and people who are just Howie Roseman does no wrong.
I am not saying that Howie Roseman does no wrong. I don't get over the moon on anybody. You know me.
Yeah.
I think the last year they did a great job. And I realize you're not going to do a great job every year. I just think that I trust the important people. Like, I trust the defensive coordinator a lot after what he did this year. I think that maybe he is a little too old school sometimes, but I think a guy like that looks at players and says, that guy can play. That guy can't. That guy has got a problem. This guy isn't. Like, I think he's comfortable with certain people. Now, it blew up on him in Miami, but it didn't blow up on him here last year, and he knows this personnel. So I think that Howie is trusting Vic Fangio a lot in this whole deal. 610-632-0975 back after this.
We want to hear from you, so text us at 610-632.
got too much energy for today.
You let me hanging.
I'm not in a jovial mood, man.
Not in a jovial mood.
I'm in a what's going on type of mood. I am not panicking.
You are,
but I'm not blind faith either.
You shouldn't be blind faith. Nobody's blind faith. I'm not blind faith. I'm saying I'm comforted by two things. One, the core is really strong. Two, Fangio knows what's up. Like I go, okay. Like what am I? I know more than Vic Fangio when he goes, these guys are marginal guys, and we don't need them.
Well, you're talking about.
We could, in other words, we could pick a peach off any tree. Is what he's saying.
Well, when you talk about the marginal guys, I think you're referring to the Isaiah Rodgers and the Oren Burks of the world. But I think that if all things were equal and they didn't overpay, I'm talking about the Cardinals and the Patriots didn't overpay for Milton Williams and Josh Sweat, of course the Eagles would have wanted those guys back. And I do think the narrative that Milton Williams benefited so much from playing next to Jalen Carter. This guy can't play. It's just because of Jalen Carter. Yes, it is easier playing next to Jalen Carter. But what that means is Jalen Carter takes on double teams. Milton Williams gets one-on-ones. And guess what? Milton Williams won those one-on-ones. There's no guarantee that whoever else you put in there is going to win at the same rate that Milton Williams did. There's a reason teams paid him what they paid him.
You worry about why you're not Steve Jobs. Like there are things that you can't you worry about things you can't control.
Yeah, but when you say that, yes, the Eagles could not pay Milton Williams and Josh Sweat. I understand it.
Why worry about that?
Because I'm still not happy that they lost two of their big players from a Super Bowl team.
They're going to have to fill in somewhere, and at that time, we'll see if their fill-in has worked. There are some things that are just realities in the league, that when you cultivate guys, they get to be really good players. You win a Super Bowl, the spotlight shines on them, they're going to get paid, and there's nothing you can do about that.
And that's why the NFL usually has a lot of parity, right? Because of the fact that teams lose players in this free agency world. It's not easy.
All right.
So I agree with you that it was anticipated, but it doesn't make it any easier to replace them. Oh, well, we knew Milton Williams was going to get paid. Well, who's replacing him?
Well, these are idle worries. You're worried about who they're going to replace them with. You could drive yourself nuts. You don't know who they're going to replace them with. You're worrying about a non-entity.
The reason I'm worried is because all we have seen, and I get it's a long offseason. I know Howie Roseman will continue to make moves. But as I sit here right now, all I've seen was subtraction, 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 subtraction. You're just eating away at a Super Bowl team, and it's all right, well, what is the plan to replace these guys?
I got an equation for you. Worry equals non-trust.
Worry equals non-trust.
That's the equation for you right now.
Well, we have a couple of examples to go off of. The past is the best indicator of the future. And I look at
2 years ago, you're looking at.
Last
year they filled it in.
I am looking at 2 years ago, coming off of a Super Bowl season where you had one of the best defenses in the NFL. You lost a bunch of starters. You couldn't replace them. And then last offseason, you had the 30th ranked defense, and you were able to add pieces because your defense sucked, and you were able to improve it. Now you're losing pieces again. Can you replace them?
2 years ago, they colored outside the lines. Last year, they did that little border inside the line. You know how you used to color with the border so you could never go outside the line?
Yeah, I used to color it real dark around the outside and then shade it in.
Yep.
Very relaxing, too, wasn't it? I still color up my kids sometimes.
Yeah, that's how you do that. By the way, I got a question off the beaten track. Have you ever gotten pizza from a mass producer pizza company? First of all, here's the adage.
Talking about like frozen pizza?
The adage is there's no such thing as bad pizza. It's just that some pizza is better than others. Would you agree with that?
No.
Yeah.
You would not?
I've had bad pizza, man.
Nobody has bad pizza. Let's face it. It's still sauce. It's still dough. It's like there are some pizzas that are obviously a New York style pizza. You get in New York at Ray's, you're going to have it. But there's no such thing as bad pizza. That you'll eat it no matter where it is. For instance, like in many press rooms when you're covering sports, they'll always have free pizza from these mass-produced companies. I've had that. I have never actually had pizza that I wanted from one of those companies. But yesterday, I had a thin crust pizza cut in squares from a certain company, which I will not name.
If you went thin crust cut in squares, are their colors blue and red?
I'm not telling. They might be a future sponsor.
Oh, because you're going to bash it now?
I'm not going to bet. No. I actually thought it wasn't bad.
Okay.
Now, is that a violation for an Italian kid? To have that thin crust pizza from a mass-produced pizza company and actually like it. In other words, that's akin to me going into Olive Garden and ordering spaghetti and meatballs and liking it.
I don't think it's a violation.
I say no.
Yeah, I don't think it's a violation because I do think that I don't usually go chain pizza. But I've had it like where it's been at places and been like, all right, not too bad. Not too bad.
Because there's no such thing as bad pizza. Have you ever really taken a bite of a pizza and say, well, no, you've never done that. So there's no such thing as bad pizza.
Yeah, I agree with you. There's probably no such thing as like really bad pizza, but I've had pizza where it's like, man, this isn't.
Yes, it's not
that great.
Well, it's not according to your standards
Yeah.
of what good pizza is. I get it, but it's not bad. So I actually like this. Now,
are you going to go back?
I'm going into psychoanalysis. That's what I'm going to do for this.
You want to go to the Olive Garden after here? We'll just keep it going.
We're going to have lunch at the Olive Garden, me and you? Huh?
Yeah.
I especially want to get the Alfredo sauce.
Bottomless breadsticks.
Oh, my God. Garlic knots.
Just don't take the breadsticks.
That is so Mitigan. 610-632-0975. Back after this.
Fanatic Sports Update.
I'm Austin Jones, and this is your Fanatic Sports Update. NFL free agency is underway, and players have been flocking the Eagles' nest. The latest is Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, as he is now headed to the Houston Texans for Kenyon Green and a 2026 draft pick. Milton Williams signed with the Patriots yesterday. Josh Sweat signed with the Cardinals. Isaiah Rodgers with the Vikings. Orrin Burks is now going to the Cincinnati Bengals, and the Eagles traded Kenny Pickett to the Browns for a fifth-round draft pick and quarterback Dorian Thompson-Robinson. If there's any more news from the Birds or the NFL, we will let you know. The 76ers fell to the Hawks 132-123 last night. Up next are the Toronto Raptors. Wednesday night tip-off is set for 7:30, and you can listen to the game here on 97.5 The Fanatic. The Flyers are back on the ice as they host the Ottawa Senators tonight in South Philly. Puck drop is set for 7 p.m., and you can listen to the game here on 97.5 in The Fanatic. Mick Abel is on the mound today for the Phillies. First pitch is 1:05 against the Boston Red Sox. This report is also sponsored by AAA Car Care. Come into your local AAA Car Care Center and save $40 on any repair of $150 or more. Offered valid through March 31st. Details at AAA.com/mycar. I'm Austin Jones on the home of the 76ers and Flyers, 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
Caught spring fever? Need to freshen up your home in time for
This decision wasn't mine, but I walk away proud of what we built together, becoming a 2-time NFC champion and Super Bowl champion. The forced fumbles and the game-stealing interceptions, those moments belong to us in Caps. You taught me that greatness isn't just about the highlights. It's about clawing back harder and fiercer, just like this city does every day. My teammates, brothers, we bled, cursed, and laughed through it all. To the coaches and front office, thank you for trusting a kid from Florida with a chip on his shoulder to lead this defense. And to the Philly faithful, you're unmatched. You embraced my edge and fire for this game, even when I got too hot. Philly, you helped me carve my name into this league, but this isn't goodbye. It's thank you with the praying hands. Forever number 8 in your corner, CJ GJ.
Yeah, that's been the interesting thing is he's probably been working on that since yesterday. Like they had to have known. Like there's no way you write that in the 15 minutes that we found out.
Are you kidding me? An agent could whip that up in like 15 seconds. Come on.
Maybe you're right. It's. I hope they know what they're doing.
They got a whole team of agents. There's probably one guy that does the press releases.
I hope they know what they're doing. I'm looking to see. It's interesting. He hasn't played a lot of games here.
Let me read this over again.
You know, he only played 12 games 2 years ago. He did play 16 this season plus the playoff.
I got to read this first line, Bill. First 2 lines, because I'm getting emotional. You've been more than a city to me. You've been a home. From the moment I stepped onto Lincoln Financial, you ready for this? Ready for the big finish?
Let me hear it.
I knew I'd found a place where passion isn't just celebrated, semicolon, it's demanded. Come on, man. Come on, dude. Stop it. Don't you think, here's the thing. Don't you think you should write it a little more close to regular? Like
how you speak?
Like instead, you write it like F. Scott Fitzgerald, right?
Does Chauncey not speak like that?
Where passion isn't, well, I'm not just saying Chauncey, I'm saying in general. Like football players aren't going to write like F. Scott Fitzgerald.
Yeah.
Passion isn't just celebrated, semicolon, it's demanded. Come on, dude.
Yeah.
I mean,
look, at least he's taking the high road.
Well, his agent's taking the high road. His agent's going, we got a good situation. You don't want this to follow you in Texas because they're going to ask you about it. We're going to go down there smooth as silk. Let me handle it. You go out. You go vacation. Go to the Turks and Caicos for a couple days.
It is interesting, though. You know, he only lasts 2 years in New Orleans, then comes here for a year, then goes to Detroit for a year, then he's back for a year, and then he goes to Houston. It's like there's got to be something. Well, he lasted in New Orleans 3 years, excuse me. But there's got to be something about this guy that wears things.
Listen, he's got an abrasive personality. He's a little out of control. He's a wild man. He's got talent, but you can take him in dribs and drabs. You got what you needed out of him, and now Fangio probably said, he's too much of a pain in the ass for me.
You think this was a Fangio?
I think this is a Fangio thing. If you think Fangio, if he really liked C.J. Gardner-Johnson, that they would have traded him. Yeah, seriously. You've been around football for a while.
No, I think you're probably right. I think with Vic Fangio having the clout that he has, I'm sure Howie's probably getting him to sign off on every move that they made.
All right.
Like, that's why they paid Zach Bond.
Mike Missanelli Show, you're listening to 97.5 The Fanatic. I lost my train of thought there. WPEN. And WPEN HD1, Burlington, Philadelphia, Beasley Media Group station, broadcasting live from the Comcast Business Studios, empowering possibilities. All right, let's get to the phones. We got Ian from North Philly hanging. Ian, you're on 97.5 The Fanatic. What's up, buddy?
Yo, fellas, it's Ian from West Philly.
What's going on, Ian from West Philly?
I'm doing great, man. Yo, so that was a great statement right there.
Tremendous. F. Scott Fitzgerald wrote it. Hey, Great Gatsby and then this speech from C.J. Gardner-Johnson were his 2 greatest works.
The good thing, the good thing about it, though, is that, even though someone else obviously wrote it, it did really hit on the things that are important to CJ, at least seemingly from an outsider's point of view, and it really did a good job. But, I wanted to just chime in. As much as I wanted to bring the band back together, I'm glad that Bill started talking about kind of just different levels of importance to the team and stuff like that. And, again, I think CJ was important. It's no coincidence that he was here during both Super Bowl runs. And, you can criticize, some of his tactics, some of how he is in the locker room with the team, but the results are there. But that being said, when it comes to putting a team together, it's kind of like a chessboard, okay? And they're kings on the chessboard, i.e. Jalen, Saquon, Lane, things like that. And then there's queens, there's rooks, and all that. And the reality is that as good as CJ was, he's a horse, and horses are replaceable. And the thing also about it, you can say, well, then what about Zach Vaughn? The truth is, then there's other levels to even that, where Zach Vaughn might have been like a horse, but it's all about, in football, in free agency, how easy is it to replace an effective, game-changing, linebacker? And it's not just has proven to the Eagles to be difficult at doing that, but it's also proven NFL-wide to be difficult to do that. So that's why you got to prioritize different people. Sure, would I have liked Chauncey to come back? Heck, yes, because I think he's an effective impact player. But the reality is that you can't bring everybody back. One more side note. I'm interested. I don't know. I'm not going to claim to know anything about this offensive lineman from Houston, but one thing I know is that he's a first-round pick, i.e., Mekhi Becton. I'm interested to see how that impacts Mekhi Becton and the negotiations with him. And I think that Howie knows the importance of the trenches, and he's just doubling down and hedging his bets there. So I'm really
very
optimistic. You guys off the air.
You were very optimistic. Tremendous work by him. Look at that, Bill. Did he convince you? You pay guys you like. You don't lose guys you really like. That's the premise. You lose guys that are the horses.
I understand the premise. It's just that you got to make sure you have players who can replace these guys, and there's a lot of unknowns right now. As you look at this Eagles defense, there are a lot of unknowns, and the offseason's not over. We're just getting started, but I think it's okay to question where they're headed with this defense.
All right. In the meantime, it's noontime. Happy noon to everybody. And, of course, our 12 o'clock hour is brought to us by Service First HVAC, offering 0% financing for 48 months, rebates and tax credits up to $4,300 when purchasing a heating and cooling system. And you can learn more at servicefirsthvac.com. All right, we got Austin Jones with the news at noon.
Yes, so I couldn't find the hotkey.
Wait, hold on. We got to get no music.
He couldn't find it.
Couldn't find the music.
Ray Dunn didn't let me know where the hotkey was for that one.
Oh, man, it's a violation of Ray Dunn.
Let me do it. Ready? There's a whole lot going on in this world. Is that all? What else do we
need? The music. Need the music. I can't function without the music.
And now, the news at noon.
Well, violation of Ray Dunn. Come on, Ray.
Yeah, Ray's in the chat, too.
Come on, Ray. But anyway, we'll start with this. As a substitute in for the news at noon, I wanted to go over to the NBA world to start. I'm sure we've all heard the stories from former All-Star Hawk guard Jeff Teague, and he was recalling one of his favorite things when he got to the NBA. Give a listen.
What was like your favorite thing when you made to the league?
My real answer is being able to show my parents the experiences and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's dope.
I went to All-Star and I did a dunk contest, and my mom and dad got to meet Dr. J, Charles Barkley, all these old heads. They used to watch and really appreciate it, and just seeing smile on their face. That was the biggest thing for me.
See, my biggest thing when I first got to the league at Wake Forest, they were stingy. Well, you got unlimited Gatorade.
That's what you was hype about.
Listen. They be putting this in the back of your trunk, right? They do that for you?
No.
Y'all ain't have it like us.
Unlimited Gatorade. That's a big perk.
Yeah.
He didn't have it like us, apparently.
Yeah. I guess not. All right. Let me guess. That's not bad when you first get to the league.
Yeah. Right? Unlimited Gatorade? I mean, shoot.
Free drinks.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Free sneakers. Free drinks.
The free shoes.
Got all that. Yep.
Oh, yeah. Staying within the baseball world, we all know that Deion Sanders was once a two-sport athlete as he played in the NFL and Major League Baseball. Well, he had a story on the Dan Patrick Show about facing left-handed pitcher, and why not give a listen?
Who was the pitcher that you just went, I got no chance?
Everybody with a left hand.
Did you? So Randy Johnson?
In Arizona one time, I'm over there chilling, knowing I'm not going to play. Randy Johnson is pitching. And they come grab me off the bench in like the 7th. We want you to pitch it. For what? This guy's finger rolling the ball at 6'9". And he threw a first pitch hook, missed the plate by 3 inches, and I look back there, the guy says strike. I'm like, okay, this is how it's going to be. Okay. I might as well stick this bat up my butt and walk off.
That's actually pretty good.
Yeah.
Now, Randy Johnson was unhittable for lefties, man. Can you imagine that? That big dude slinging it from the side, coming from no. First of all, you can't pick up the ball where he's got it behind his body, and then he fired. He's like Chris Sale. Chris Sale's the same way, but Randy Johnson was just unhittable at lefties.
Yeah, I mean, he was intimidating, man. I always say, whenever I think of Randy Johnson, though, I can't help but think about that crazy video where he hit the bird in mid-flight when he threw the ball.
Yeah.
Like, what were the chances of that
I
happening?
don't know. The odds of that are just...
it's insane.
One of the wilder things.
You know, it's really funny the way left-handed pitchers are impossible for most left-handed hitters to hit, where right-handed pitchers aren't impossible for right-handers hitters to hit.
Yeah, why is that?
It's the dynamic of where they deliver the ball. It's like they deliver the ball differently. Left-handers deliver the ball differently than right-handers. Right-handers come a little more over the top. Left-handers sling it. So when your perspective is that the ball is actually behind your body before you can pick it up. And so that eliminates the distance that you can actually see it. Like, it's behind your body. You got to wait for it to be in front of your body. By that time, it's over.
Yeah. Well, Brandon Marsh probably could do it against a lefty.
We hope so. We got a lineup for the Phils today. We'll get to that in a second.
I'll look it up.
All right. We got one more.
We got one more, and you brought up the Phillies, and that leads me right into our next story here. As we all remember, Angel Hernandez and the wonderful calls he would have in his umpire career. Well, Alec Bohm was recalling one of his most interesting moments in baseball when Bryce Harper got thrown out by Angel Hernandez.
One of the wilder things I've seen on a baseball field was the Angel Hernandez ejection on the check swing, and I'm on deck for this. Bryce is walking off the field after he lets Angel know he missed one, and he launches his helmet over the net, over my head, over the dugout, over the net, into the stands. Kid caught it.
Did you sign it?
I think he ended up getting it back and signing it for him
That's
and everything.
awesome.
And
see, that's great.
Best day of the kid's life, but I think Bryce got in a little trouble.
Alec Bohm is boring. Wait. That's one of the most memorable things. Like, I'm waiting for the punchline.
Not the home run that he hit when Bryce Harper talked to him.
You're going to tell a story like that. It's got to have a punchline, doesn't it? There's no punchline in that story. We already know what happened. He threw it over the thing. The kid caught it. We're like, give me something else.
Yeah, here's a little advice. When you're telling a story, have a point. It makes it so much more enjoyable for the listener.
He's got to be the most boring guy on earth.
Well, he can't be that boring to get Aaron Dolan.
Well, maybe she's boring.
She could be boring.
Maybe it's boring and boring getting together. 610-632-0975. Gee, Alec, tell that story again. The Mike Missanelli Show continues.
Tyrone Johnson, Ricky Vitalico, and Silva.
Board, Bill Colarulo and Daniel Jones, my man, Danny Dimes. Going to the Indianapolis Colts. That's easy pickings for Danny Jones to start there.
We'll see. I mean, he's going to compete with Anthony Richardson.
Anthony Richardson is so erratic. They can't possibly go. Like, they'll give him the chance to be the starter. I guarantee you by game 4, Daniel Jones is in there.
It'll be a competition in camp, and we'll see what Shane Steichen does. Our old friend Shane Steichen.
Old friend Shane.
We'll see what he can do with Daniel Jones. But, yes, the average quarterback carousel continues.
And who did our pal Jonathan Gannon get? He got who did he get? From the Eagles?
His old buddy Josh Sweat.
Josh Sweat, that's right. He got Josh Sweat, $16 million a year. What do you think of that contract? 4 years, $76.4 million, 41 guaranteed.
Expected when you got an edge rusher who just put up the numbers he put up, and especially in the Super Bowl against Mahomes. And I think they overpaid him. I don't think Sweat, as much as I like Sweat, I think it's an overpay.
That's my bad. That's $18 million a year. $18.1 million a year.
Yeah, which makes sense. I mean, that makes sense for an edge rusher in this league. But I got to talk about my favorite general manager for a quick second.
Go ahead.
Joe Shane continues to do Joe Shane things.
My God, here you go.
So did you see he gave Darius Slayton 3 years, $36 million, when they could have just easily signed Saquon Barkley last year for the same damn amount of money? Like, how does this guy have a job? This is like my weekly question about Joe Shane doing our New York radio. How can you justify paying Darius Slayton 3 years, $36, but you couldn't pay Saquon Barkley? Doesn't make any sense.
I can't tell you. I couldn't care less, though. You seem to really care about that. If Darius Slayton played on the same team with Darius Slay, who would you know who you're talking to?
Well, one's big play.
Yo, Slay! Like two heads turning.
There was a beef about that a couple of years ago.
There was?
Yeah, they were going back and forth because the Giants Slayton was trying to say that he was big play Slay. Our Darius Slayer went on Twitter and said, no, I'm the big play Slay.
Well, there you go. Beefs all over this world.
Joe Shane, maybe the worst GM in the league. But we don't have to worry about it because we have Howie Roseman, who's got a lot of work to do.
Your obsession with Joe Shane is just mind-boggling.
A lot of work to do for our boy Howie Roseman.
What's the tech sports saying? And we'll get Nick and Ewing here, Austin.
Well, the first person that was here was Norm from Mayfair that said there is no bad pizza. So apparently he agreed with whatever pizza you went with last night.
There's no bad pizza. It's just that some are much better than others. Like, for instance, let me give you an example. You remember as a kid, your parents would buy Elio's pizza?
Yeah. Had it a couple weeks ago.
Elio's pizza. You pop in the oven, boom, boom, boom. That's bad.
Yeah.
Bad pizza. But you enjoyed it immensely because it had sauce, it had cheese, it had maybe pepperoni on it. Boom, you can eat it.
And you were a kid.
Right.
Like, I don't think I'm going to enjoy Elio's now.
I just had one a couple weeks ago. Bought a box. It was on sale.
Now, if you spice it up properly.
I don't spice
it. Yeah, if you do I used to spice it up and doctor it up.
Yeah, garlic powder, some red pepper flake.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The garlic powder, a little oregano, all that. Hold on, before we continue with the pizza talk. Mike Florio just put out that the Eagles still plan on releasing Darius Slay on Wednesday. So he's still under contract. He's still on the roster, but apparently he will be released on Wednesday when the new league year starts. Doesn't rule out the possibility of him coming back.
Right.
Yeah.
But he can't sign right now. They can't make a move. Right. Or they can trade him. Right? No, they can't.
They could.
What? They can trade him?
They could have traded him. He's still under contract, but if they release him on Wednesday, then you can't. I mean, he would be then open to free agency, and maybe he signs with the Steelers at that point. So that's something to monitor because if you're losing Slay and Chauncey and Sweat and Milton Williams and Isaiah Rodgers and Oren Burks, and I know you're saying you're not that concerned because this was expected. That's a lot of players to replace, man.
Yeah. Austin, did you notice the Bill was very dismissive just now? When he said sarcastically, well, before we continue with the pizza talk, I got to tell you. Now,
I think he was done with it.
He was. Bill, did you ever think that you would be talking about topics like when you joined me? First of all, you didn't even know who I was. You had no idea that I had this long radio career. Were you aware that occasionally, like, I would morph into pizza talk?
Yes, I know that's the Mike Miss.
You did.
The Mike Miss approach.
You did.
which I think people enjoy.
But it was a little bit dismissive. Austin, did you hear it was a little bit dismissive?
Was my tone off on there?
Just a little. It just seemed like you were just ready to move back on the football.
I didn't say enough with the pizza talk. I said before we continue.
Continue with the pizza talk. You gave me one of those. Before we continue with the pizza talk, I just got to tell you about more important things that involve football.
Well, what I was more dismissive
what
of,
you said.
What I'm more dismissive of is that coming from someone who puts his nose up to Maggiano's or Olive Garden would say you ate Ilios a couple weeks ago. Like, to me, that's what I'm more dismissive of. Yeah. You're eating Ilios as a paisan, and you're going to ridicule those who go to Maggiano's?
I did that a lot as a kid, and maybe my childhood thing came. However, I am a shopper that goes for bargains. Like, box of Ilios pizza, $3.
No, you can't.
I stick that right in there because a late night snack, you can't beat it. Like, you're not going.
A late night snack, you can't beat it.
Listen, late night snack. All right, it's 9 o'clock. Yeah, man, I had dinner, but I'm hungry. I need something little. Oh, there it is. The frozen box of Ilios. Get that oven cranked up. Boom, 400 degrees.
See,
stick that whole. And I put the whole slate in there. It comes in like sheets of 3. I stick that whole thing in there, brother.
Nah, it's a violation. See, now, what I used to do when I would get home from school in high school, the Stouffer's French bread pizzas.
It wasn't.
You ever have one of those?
Yeah, I did.
With the pepperoni on it?
It's too expensive.
Terrible for you, though.
Too expensive. I'm talking about getting 9 slices of Ilios pizza.
With all the scuttle you got, you're worried about cheap pizza? Really? What are you saving, like $2? I mean, come on, Mike.
$2 adds up when you're doing the grocery store run. Since you never are in the grocery store, I do all my shopping, brother, and I look for bargains. 610-632-0975 with all the scuttle I have. Mike Missanelli Show continues.
Fanatic Sports Update.
I'm Austin Jones, and this is your Fanatic Sports Update. With NFL free agency underway, players have been flocking the Eagles' nest as CJ has been traded to the Houston Texans for guard Kenyon Green and late-round draft compensation. Milton Williams has signed with the New England Patriots. Josh Sweat has signed with the Cardinals. Isaiah Rodgers is on to the Minnesota Vikings, and Oren Burks has signed with the Bengals. Meanwhile, the Eagles have traded Kenny Pickett to the Browns for a 5th-round draft pick and quarterback Dorian Thompson-Robinson. If we have any more news on the Eagles or the NFL, make sure to keep it here on the Fanatic. The 76ers have fell to the Hawks last night, 132-123. Up next are the Raptors in Toronto Wednesday night. Tip-off is set for 7:30 p.m., and you can listen to the game here on 97.5 The Fanatic. The Flyers are back on the ice as they host the Ottawa Senators tonight in South Philly. Puck drop is set for 7 p.m., and you can listen to the game here on 97.5 The Fanatic. Mick Abel is on the mound today as the Phillies face the Boston Red Sox. First pitch is set to be at 1:05. This report is also sponsored by Mercedes-Benz. That feeling of owning your first Mercedes-Benz is hard to believe, but it's real. From the leather stitching to the iconic design, every element of a Mercedes lives up to its reputation. See for yourself at your local Mercedes-Benz dealer. I'm Austin Jones on the home of the 76ers and Flyers, 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
12:27, Mike Missanelli Show, 97.5 The Fanatic. All right, let's recap what the Eagles lost and who they've gained in the last 24 hours. So, first of all, they lose Milton Williams to the New England Patriots. He gets $63 million. We knew he was going to get paid, but dude, $26 million per, $63 million guaranteed, 4 years, $104 million. Josh Sweat gets the back with Jonathan Gannon, the Arizona Cardinals, 4 years, $76.4. That's $18 million. $41 million of that is guaranteed, $18 a year. They also lose Isaiah Rodgers to the Minnesota Vikings, who look pretty good, by the way. 2 years, $15 million, $8 million guaranteed. That's a very low price to get Isaiah Rodgers, so the Eagles were willing to let him go. They also lose Oren Burks, the linebacker, to the Cincinnati Bengals for like $2.5 million, like ridiculously low money. I guess they didn't care much about Oren Burks. They traded Kenny Pickett to the Cleveland Browns for a fifth-round pick, and they got Dorian Thompson-Robinson, a backup quarterback, back. We don't know about Slay yet, but the big story on Action News, the Eagles trade C.J. Gardner-Johnson to the Texans for guard Kenyon Green, a former first-round pick out of Texas A&M, which either means that they're going to lose their right guard or they wanted to get some backup situations here. And that guy, just like our man who filled in when Becton came, they didn't know whether he was going to be a starter or not. Same thing here. If they lose Becton, they got him. If they don't lose Becton, they got a guy that can back up and then eventually be a starter.
Yeah, I guess that's a small victory when you've lost all these players on defense. I guess the small victory is maybe we got a backup guard. I mean, that's pretty much it. And you got a third-string quarterback.
Did they get a draft pick in that trade at all?
They swapped picks.
Okay,
so
they
I
swapped
think
picks.
They gave up. Let me get the exact details of it. You have it in front of you, Austin.
The trade includes a pick swap of the Eagles getting a 2026 fifth-round pick and the Texans getting a 2026 sixth.
All right, so they gave up a 6 and they get a 5th back. Now, this whole Chauncey Gardner-Johnson thing, though, Mike, I know we're assuming that maybe there's some attitude-related reason, or maybe they didn't love him in the locker room, but there also could have been financial reasons for it as well, because I'm looking at where he is in his contract. So they had signed him to a 3-year, $27 million deal last year. His $9 million average per year puts him at like 15th in the NFL for safeties. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, he's like 15th, 16th in the league. Maybe he wants a new contract. See, that's the thing we don't know. He may have been asking behind the scenes of, I'm not happy, I want more money. Now, we'll see if Houston ends up giving him a new deal. If Houston gives him a new deal, then you know that this was contractually based.
However, it does seem coincidence that this beef surfaced yesterday between him and Darius Slay. You at the time were concerned, well, you bring Slay, but can you really bring Slay back now? Well, you certainly can bring Slay back now because you got rid of that guy. Now, do you think it was coincidence or this was in the planning?
See, the thing is, when you say it was in the planning,
planning meaning the recent immediate plans because of what happened.
You may be right on this, only because would Chauncey Gardner-Johnson have taken such offense to Darius Slay not naming him as a potential leader on the Eagles next year if he knew he was on his way out? So according to Chauncey Gardner-Johnson clearly felt he was coming back, or why else would he be so angry?
Do you think Slay knew he wasn't coming back? Do you think they told Slay, listen, man, we're going to get rid of your boy, so keep an open mind. We like to bring you back for a year, and on top of that, we're getting rid of your boy for it.
I don't know, man. I am actually at a loss here. I don't know what the thought process is. When Howie Roseman last offseason talked about how important it was to bring in guys that have that chip on their shoulder, that have that swagger, we all thought, okay, he's clearly talking about Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. You bring him back. Your defense had swagger this year. It had that dog mentality, and now you just turn around and trade him for pretty much nothing.
All right, so to you, it's either blind faith or panic. As you're reading the chat board here, the YouTube chat, either they're all in on how he's going to find a way, or they're panicking saying, what are they doing?
It's pretty mixed. It is pretty mixed. Now, we did put up a poll on our YouTube. How do you feel about the CJ-GJ trade?
Mm-hmm.
And the two options were good move, bad move. 74% think it was a bad move.
Oh, all right. Let's get to the phones. We got Nick and you. What
Before we do, a little bit more breaking news. Kind of minor news, but potentially something to look out for. Miles Sanders has been released by the Carolina Panthers. Could the Eagles consider a reunion between two Penn State running backs?
Why would they?
They need a backup.
Well,
if you lose Kenny Gainwell,
they're not going to lose Kenny Gainwell. They like him.
It's possible.
If you think anybody's grabbing out for Kenny Gainwell, come on.
You probably not.
Yeah.
But if you could get Miles Sanders on a cheap deal,
nah.
I want to see. You got to remember, Saquon had an insane amount of touches this year. So I don't know if you can rely on him to have as many touches next season if you want him to stay healthy for 17 games. You do have Will Shipley, but don't be surprised if they bring in a veteran back if they lose Kenny G.
All right, so listen. I don't know about Miles Sanders because Miles Sanders is going to want playing time. You think Miles Sanders would be content to get 3 carries in a game?
No, he's probably going to go somewhere where he gets a big workload. But it's crazy. I mean, we've talked about is Saquon's deal going to reset the running back market? Did you see what Najee Harris got? Barely got any money. Najee Harris. Let me see if I can get those numbers. I think he got like 1 year. Who'd he sign with? The
Chargers, $9.5 million.
Yeah, so what was it? How many years?
Just one.
1 year, $9.5 million? Yeah, it's not a ton of money. 1 year, 9.25.
That's not bad money. Not bad money for not Najee Harris. Close to $10 million. What would you think they would have to pay Miles Sanders? 7?
Sanders, who just got released, was making what? Let me see here. So Sanders, he was set to earn $1 million roster bonus, 13.2 across 2 seasons. So yeah, he's getting about 6.5. Mm-hmm. So
you wouldn't have to pay him that much. $5 million he would play here, wouldn't he?
Yeah, you're probably going to go elsewhere. You're probably going to just keep. I think if you had your choice, you pay Kenny Gainwell less. You can trust Kenny G.
Gainwell a lot. All right, let's get back to the phones. We got Nick and Ewing checking in. Nick, you're on 97.5 The Fanatic. What's up, buddy?
Hey, what's up? What's up? Hey. I enjoyed the show so far. So this morning I was watching First Take, and there was something that jumped out to me that was very interesting, and I don't know how you guys feel about it. So Micah Parsons, he went out publicly and said he doesn't think he can win with the team that he's on now with the Cowboys. So, and he demanded a trade. So if you're the Eagles, and even though you just lost Josh Sweat and all these other defensive players, would you, if you're Howie Roseman, would you consider bringing in a guy like Micah Parsons?
I don't think there's any question that they would consider. They don't have the money to do that.
Wait. What, yeah, okay, where did you see the Michael Parsons demanding a trade? I haven't seen that.
He said it on First Take.
It was on Get Up. It was on the show ESPN Get Up this morning, and then there's also a couple of sources that are just coming in about the Michael Parsons.
Well, he said this on a podcast.
Rumor.
He said this on a podcast that he can't win with Dallas,
dude. This would have been huge news, man. I'm not seeing this anywhere.
Yeah, it would have been huge news. I mean, maybe they were speculating.
Okay, yeah, because I wasn't sure if this was like actually something that he actually said himself, or is it going to be just like a Myles Garrett situation where what he just saw with him, because I think if you're the Eagles, and you could really
do you know
use
how much?
Like,
do you know how much that? Of course, any team could use him, but do you realize what it would take to trade for him and how much you would have to pay him? They don't have.
Yeah, that would be a lot.
They're stressed against the cap.
Yeah, that would be a lot.
I mean, that would be.
So that's why I was like wondering.
Yeah, thanks for the call, man. I appreciate the information. Just like, what would it take for? It would take 3 first-round draft picks to get him, wouldn't it? And the Eagles draft picks aren't that good.
Who knows? I mean, you hit the nail on the head, though. Let's not even talk about what you'd have to give up in draft capital to pry him away from Dallas. It's going to be trying to fit all of this under the salary cap because you have right now Cam Jurgens is eligible for a new deal. I expect him to get a new deal this offseason. Then you got to look ahead to next offseason. You know who's eligible for a new deal next offseason? Jalen Carter and Nolan Smith. And then, 2 years from now, you're talking Quinyon Mitchell, Cooper DeJean. You see what these guys are getting paid as far as defensive tackles, edge rushers, and corners. The bill is coming due in a couple years. The Eagles have to also look forward to the future on how they fit all these players under the cap.
All right, to get in, 610-632-0975, either by phone or by text. It is the Mike Missanelli Show. Back after this.
The Philadelphia 76ers.
Love it. Go ahead, Courtney. What's she doing now? What's Courtney doing now?
I don't know. She's still acting?
A lot of people. My friend Jason Martinez, who used to be a producer here, loathed her because he was such a
Nirvana fan?
Yeah, he was a Nirvana fan. Okay, she killed him.
Yeah. That's what they say.
I go, come on, man. Stop. Stop. My man was tormented. He was a tortured artist, Bill.
He was. I mean, just listen to his music. But speaking of tormented, that would be me today.
I was waiting for
you like that transition.
How you ready to segue?
You see how I did that?
That's a good one. That's good for you, Bill.
You like that?
You are upset. Today.
Tormented.
You are upset and tormented, and I go, we'll see.
The thing is that the Sweat and the Milton Williams losses were expected, but then when you add on to that, and we're cutting Slay. Okay. We're trading Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. Okay. We're not going to re-sign Isaiah Rodgers. All right. We're going to let Oren Burks walk for nothing. All right. I mean, you start to look at it. It's like, okay, well, what's the plan here? How many players that contributed to this defense that just won you a Super Bowl can you afford to let walk out the door before we start to worry a little bit, Mike? I know there's a plan. I know that they're not done adding talent. But to just think that they could snap their fingers and replace all of these guys, I think is being a little bit naive, and I think it's okay for fans to be a little bit concerned. You are Mr. Pragmatic today.
Listen, right now, they obviously have some holes to fill, but that doesn't mean they don't have the plan to fill them. They pretty much, none of these things were unexpected. Now, the trade of C.J. Gardner-Johnson was unexpected by us, but maybe not by them, or maybe it wasn't anticipated by them, and he forced them with his Slay business, and they finally said, nah, we don't want to go through this anymore with this guy. And so they did it. But you, as a general manager, you don't fly by the seat of your pants. You're always planning. So, like in the middle of last season, as they were winning enough games to get to a Super Bowl and then win a Super Bowl, they're going, we're probably going to lose this guy, that guy. But here we go. Here's the plan. We can add this guy, this guy, this guy. We can draft this guy, this guy, this guy. We can trade this guy, this guy, this. Like, they're never caught with their pants down. That's not. If they were, they wouldn't have built up an organization that went to the Super Bowl twice in 8 years.
And once again, I don't like to remind people of the past, but when you say they're not caught with their pants down, they've gone to the Super Bowl 2 out of 3 seasons. What happened in the season in the middle? When they lost all the defensive talent, what happened? They had the 30th ranked defense.
Let me ask you this. Are you worried that this team, because of these losses, is going to fall off the cliff? Like what do you say? Like this attrition that they suffered today, which is going to be filled in. They're not going to act like this. These holes won't remain. So, what do you think is going to happen to this team? They're not going to be good anymore. They have a great core still. People are looking at this team, said as they go into the offseason. Yeah, they're going to lose this guy, probably, blah, blah. But guess what? We still got them ranked number 1 favorite to go back to the Super Bowl.
All right. When you say fall off of a cliff, let's just look back to 2 years ago, okay? On the one corner spot, you had Darius Slay, who was still playing at a high level, but then at the other corner spot, you had nothing. James Bradbury fell off a cliff. Well, now you don't know who's going to be that other corner this season. You had at linebacker 2 holes because Nakobe Dean got hurt. At least you have Zach Bond, but who's the other linebacker? Is Nakobe Dean healthy?
Bill.
Is Jeremiah Trotter ready?
You're ignoring promotion. Like they have had these guys in the system now. So promotion usually is one of the key areas where you can replace.
All right, well, let's look at who they have to promote.
Okay, go ahead.
So you lose Josh Sweat. You know Nolan Smith is your one starter on the edge. Who's the other? Now you're losing Josh Sweat. You're losing Brandon Graham. Not that Brandon Graham gave you much.
They're going to need to add an end rusher. I would agree with that.
All right, because Jalix Hunt, I expect him to take a step forward. You got to hope and pray that maybe Bryce Huff can be the guy you thought you were getting. But you're right. They absolutely have to add something on the edge. And I can't stand, though, the fans who keep just saying, oh, we'll draft somebody. You're not going to be able to draft every single position of need and expect that rookie to contribute this year when you're picking 32nd and 64. It just doesn't usually work that way. We were spoiled last year when you had 3 rookies contribute.
Agree.
And you also now talking about the safety position. We don't know now who replaces Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. Maybe it's Sidney Brown. Maybe it's Tristan McCullum. And you're correct. Maybe Vic Fangio believes in these guys. But until I see it, I'm going to be a little nervous about it. Until I see them actually play a regular season and perform at a high level, I'm going to be a little nervous. I'm high on Keely Ringo at corner, but until I see him do it, I don't know if he can.
I'm not. What's the word? Less than nervous.
Apprehensive, maybe.
Yeah. All right. If apprehensive is lighter than nervous, then I'm apprehensively optimistic. How's that? Because I know they got a core, and I know these guys they didn't really want. I look at they didn't want these guys that they like. If they really wanted them, they would have kept them.
They probably didn't want Aaron Burks and Isaiah Rodgers and Chauncey.
Okay.
But I think if they didn't have to overpay, they would have kept Milton Williams and Josh Sweat. You're not going to let – we know how they like to build their teams.
Again, this is the thing that you – in the middle of the season, they go, guess, the way these guys are playing, there's no way we can keep them. So let's look. I want my staff now to compile what we're going to need to do to replace. Like, these are all moves they anticipate.
It is a long look. And as I say this, let me play devil's advocate to myself here. Sometimes Howie Roseman's best moves happen long into the offseason. You know, when he's done some of these things. Like Mekhi Becton, they didn't sign until after the draft.
And that's what he said to you.
Yeah, Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, the first time they got him, didn't get him till August.
He said be patient.
So maybe there's a chance that they bring these guys in. But I do think as a fan, it's okay to look at this defense now and be, wow, you know, what are they going to do here?
All right, let's go to Charlotte. Beautiful. It must be beautiful in Charlotte today. Frank is checking in. What's up, Frank? Frankie Frank.
What's up, guys? Man?
How are you, buddy? How you doing? Frank?
I'm all right, man. I would say I can't complain, but today I can.
All right, go ahead.
I'm here. Yeah, the CJ move, man. I hear you saying we knew that they'll be gone, but I don't agree with the CJ move. Why give him a 3-year deal last year if we're going to let him play 1 year?
You're right about that. But
that's the part I don't understand.
Yeah, and you're right to be concerned about, like, I come out of the blue. But I got to feel that they were just waiting for something to say, you know, this guy is going to cause us too much trouble. And maybe that Slay thing was an indication. Maybe he had a list of things. Yeah, they gave him a 3-year contract before
I
he actually
agree to a
played.
certain extent, but we knew that for the first time we had him.
Yeah, well, maybe
But
they thought
we knew who CJ was when he played for us the first time, so this wasn't.
maybe they thought that he was reformed. I don't know. When they brought him back, you know, he did serve a purpose. You know, it looks like a piece of furniture. They just moved on. They got what they wanted. They, you know, put a few drinks on it with coasters. It worked, and now it's move the piece of furniture out. All right, man, I hear you. There's a lot of people concerned. Yeah, that connection's not really good. When we have these phone calls, do they hear of me talking, Austin? Or is that's the system still weird?
They hear you talking. It's just there's a sense of delay. It's like
it's a delay.
Yeah, there's a delay. So typically when you guys say, "Hey, Frank, what's going on?" and then you just hear silence, there's like a little delay, and then they get you.
All right. Our phone system will be intact soon with a whole new system. I'm looking forward to the day in 2026 when we can actually take phone calls, Bill.
It's going to be a great system that they're putting in. State of the art.
I might be dead by then, but we'll have a new system. It's the Mike Missanelli Show. We're back after this.
Fanatic Sports Update.
I'm Austin Jones, and this is your Fanatic Sports Update. This update is brought to you by William Grant & Sons, Tullamore Dew Irish Whiskey, the original triple distilled, triple blended, and triple creek cask matured Irish whiskey. When it's game time, it's Thule time. Now with free agency underway, there have been a lot of Eagles players that are leaving the nest. Milton Williams signed with the Patriots. Josh Sweat signed with the Cardinals. Isaiah Rodgers to the Vikings. Aaron Burks is signed with the Cincinnati Bengals, and the Eagles traded Kenny Pickett to the Browns for a 5th-round draft pick and a quarterback in Dorian Thompson-Robinson. And today they moved CJ GJ to the Houston Texans for guard Kenyon Green and a 2026 draft pick. If there's any more news on the Birds or NFL, we will make sure to keep you up to date here on 97.5 The Fanatic. The 76ers fell to the Hawks 132-123 last night. And up next are the Toronto Raptors in Toronto. Tip-off is set for a 7:30 game, and you can listen to the game here on 97.5 The Fanatic. The Flyers are back on the ice versus the Senators tonight in South Philly. Puck drop is for 7 p.m., and you can listen to the game here on 97.5 The Fanatic. Mick Abel's on the mound for the Phillies versus the Boston Red Sox. First pitch is in about 15 minutes. This report is also sponsored by Mercedes-Benz. That feeling of owning your first Mercedes-Benz is hard to believe, but it's real. From the leather stitching to the iconic design, every element of a Mercedes lives up to its reputation. See for yourself at your local dealer. I'm Austin Jones on the home of the 76ers and Flyers, 97.5 The Fanatic, 97.5thefanatic.com.
this song, Bill?
Yeah. We were only living for the thrill of it. I knew the beat. I didn't know the words.
You know the band?
Cold War Kids?
No. Empire of the Sun.
I think I actually did know that.
Come on, man. On another note, let me quickly go over Sixers and Phillies. The 76ers last night complied. They need to keep losing, and I applaud their effort last night in losing. They lost to the Atlanta Hawks. Beautifully done by the Sixers, which means they are now in that sixth spot, the all-important sixth spot. I told you the Nets were going to start winning games. They play hard. They want to win, and the Raptors are doing the same thing.
So right now, I think they're tied for the sixth worst record, right?
I think they have the tie break, so I think they have it right now. So they keep losing. Now, look at it last night. Let me look at their lineup last night here. Let me just go down the lineup. Ooh. Gershon Yabusele has hit the biggest wall I've ever seen.
What, he dropped 7 last night?
He is just a load right now. He is done. He is fried. Justin Edwards. Jared Butler. There's your boy, Quentin Grimes. Eureka! They have found their two-guard, Bill. Quentin Grimes, 35 last night.
Let me ask you.
And a minus 10.
I know you're being facetious.
35 points would be a minus 10.
When you talk about Quentin Grimes. But couldn't you see him maybe as a bench piece that could come off and score some points?
Yeah.
Right? I mean, he's not a guy you build around, obviously.
Yeah, I got no problem with
But
that.
I could see them keeping him.
Yeah. Lonnie Walker, the fourth, cannot play. Listen, I'm sorry, you people in Reading. I know he's from Reading. Can't play. 4 for 14 last night, minus 13. So off the bench last night. Ricky Council, the fourth, with 19 markers last night for your boy Ricky Council, the fourth. Jeff Doughton chipping in 17 for Big Dow, we call him. Alex Reese got some time last night. How about Reese?
There was just no defense
What
on
a
either side.
What a horrendous load of crap.
Are you kidding me?
They send out there. Now for the Hawks, you see at a big game last night? Dyson Daniels, you know what they call him? He was the 8th overall pick from the G League Ignite. All right, he got traded in the DeJounte Murray trade. So he winds up with the Hawks. You know what his nickname is? Great. He's from Australia. They call him the Great Barrier Thief because of his defensive acumen.
You get that, Austin, because of the reef?
I got you.
You get it?
That's a good one.
And our boy, George, bang, bang, Niang. Where are you, Kate Scott, when I need you?
The minivan.
18 off the bench last night for Bang Bang.
Let me ask you a serious question.
What?
You still watching these games?
Yes. I'm rooting for every bucket for the other team. It's 1 o'clock. You're listening to the Mike Missanelli Show, 97.5 The Fanatic, WPEN HD1, Burlington, Philadelphia, Beasley Media Group Station. And we broadcast from the Comcast Business Studios, empowering possibilities. All right, this is a football day. Free agent day. The Eagles lost a few starters on defense. Can they make it up is what the question is. Do you have faith in Howie, who said, listen, this might not look like other seasons. We're going to make big splashes. You're going to have patience. They're going to have patience to complete this team, Bill. But I look at it, I go, 2 of these losses were inevitable. Most of the other guys, they didn't care about losing. So it is up to Howie now to fill in the pieces. And I am inclined to be more on their side that they'll be able to do it than not. Normally, I would feel the opposite. This team just won a Super Bowl. They filled in gaps pretty well. They got a really good defensive coordinator who knows who can play and who can't play. So I'm all right now. I'm pragmatically all right. I am optimistic with a little apprehension.
Yeah, I wish I could be where you are. I'm not. I know that some of these losses were anticipated. It doesn't make it any easier to replace them. I mean, just because you know, hey, we can't afford Milton Williams and we can't afford Josh Sweat doesn't mean that there's just people out here that are going to be able to come in and give you the same level of production that you got from those guys. And I'm hearing a lot of people talking about how Milton Williams benefited from Jalen Carter. Yes, that is true. But Milton Williams still won his one-on-one matchups. When Jalen Carter got double-teamed, Milton Williams still won. Now, you got to hope Maro Ajomo comes in and he's able to step up, but you need another player. See, Ajomo is going to elevate to the Milton Williams. I don't think he's going to play at the same level, but he's going to elevate there. Well, who's the Maro Ajomo now on the 2025 Philadelphia Eagles? And then when you lose a Chauncey Gardner-Johnson on the back end, who we thought set the tone, was the dog mentality, that chip on his shoulder, that swagger. Well, who's going to fill in there? You know, to bring this full circle, you were just talking about Ricky Council. I think that may have been your best analogy of the day. Sidney Brown's like Ricky Council. They got to teach him how to calm down a little bit. He plays 100 miles an hour, which I don't think you can do in a Vic Fangio scheme. Now you got to figure out who's playing the other corner. I mean, there's just so many question marks that I can't just look at it and say, oh, yeah, they'll be fine, because they weren't fine 2 seasons ago when they lost all the starters after the Super Bowl.
So are you inclined to be more like Bill, a worrywart, or are you more like me? Like, pragmatically, their core is certainly good enough to add other pieces. Except, listen, Milton Williams is a big loss. It's a big loss. But you know, I look at it and I go, listen, I'm sorry, fans. We couldn't really do anything about it. If some team is going to pay him that kind of money, we can't do it.
No, you couldn't. As much as I loved Milton Williams.
That's why I go, all right, there's some things that you have no control over. That was one thing. And that's the way the NFL is. Guys play themselves into money.
Yeah, see, sometimes you're right. I was looking up some of my old tweets, and this time last year, I was talking about how they have to extend Milton Williams now because he's going to cost you too much money next offseason. So, and I think that the Eagles wanted to extend them last year, but to Milton Williams' credit, he bet on himself, and damn did it pay well.
By the way, today is the 5th anniversary of COVID hitting.
Oh, March 11th. Wow, was it really 5 years ago now?
5 years ago, the NBA got shut down at this point.
Wow, I remember that. I remember it.
And Rudy Gobert was in the middle of that whole thing, and they went
touching all the microphones.
Yeah, it went up. You know, finally resorted into that kind of situation.
Well, if you remember, like when it first hit, we didn't know that it was just like airborne. I remember going to the grocery store, wiping everything down before we brought it into the house. Like, that was a wild time, man.
Yeah, it was crazy, and it was. Interestingly enough, we still did the show from this studio.
Yeah, what? So how did you do it with no sports? Like, what did you talk about every day? You must have been in your glory. Pizza, bread.
I just talk. Like, I can't remember exactly what we talked about. Tyrone would maybe have a better reference of that. I don't remember from one day to the next how we did the show, but we did the show from here, where every other show did not come in here.
So you came in.
We were the only show that came in here.
Wait, was it just you and Tyrone, or was Natalie here too?
Natalie was here as well. And so what they did with Natalie was at home at first.
Gotcha.
So here was the thing. Tyrone and I didn't come in at the same time, and we never crossed paths. So when I came in directly into this booth. He came directly into that booth in there, and Natalie did the show from home via Zoom.
And I've heard from a lot of people who have said to you, I was around them when they said, hey, you really got us through COVID. Because when there wasn't anything going on, they were able to just tune in and listen or watch.
Yeah, we did our best. I mean, I could talk about a zillion things, and we did. I remember talking. I don't remember us having a problem talking about things. But then Natalie came back because they had built a screen for her. They put a plexiglass barrier that separated her and Tyrone in that same room.
Oh, that mic over there. Yeah. Man, how was that 5 years ago already?
5 years ago today. Now, if anybody remembers what we talked about.
Mind you, I don't think this is like 6 feet apart whatsoever at the other mic.
They made it 6 feet apart. Like, she was far enough away. It was engineered to the point where that plexiglass screen protected her and Tyrone. And but if anybody has a recollection of how, I don't even remember the first day, like what we talked about. Like, I had no idea what the topic lines were.
So that hit in March. The NFL still did the draft in April, right? Because isn't that when Goodell was in his basement and they did everything via Zoom?
I think they still did the combine as well.
Man, that was such a weird time back then.
It really was. And then, of course, the NBA rebounded with the bubble.
Yeah, what do you think?
And remember people getting banned from the bubble? Who got banned from the bubble?
Didn't B-Ball Paul?
Lou Williams got banned from the bubble because he went outside the bubble to get.
Didn't B-Ball Paul too? Didn't he do something there? Did I make that up?
Maybe you're right. But didn't Lou Williams go to his favorite place in Atlanta, his trip to Detroit in Atlanta?
Yeah, he had like
a wings.
He had like a family friend that passed away, and then on the way back to the bubble, he stopped at Magic City to get the lemon pepper Lou wings.
Lemon pepper wings. The lemon pepper Lou wings got a band.
And Jimmy Butler selling coffee at like $60 a pop.
That's right. Jimmy Butler, a coffee connoisseur, started selling coffee.
Now, do you think that
they smuggled in coffee beans for him? Is that what happened?
Somebody did
somebody
something.
Smuggled in beans for him.
Do you think the Lakers championship in the bubble should have an asterisk?
Why?
Because you did it without any fans.
No.
So what?
It was a glorified AAU tournament that nobody. It's not my fault that the Lakers showed up and the Heat did, and everybody else just wanted to go home.
Still had to play and win.
Exactly.
A little bit different, man. No travel, no fans.
That should be even better. You should be locked in, Bill.
I think it's a little suspect of a championship.
Is it because it's LeBron? Or
No,
you a LeBron
actually,
guy?
I don't mind LeBron.
Okay, I got to ask.
I don't mind LeBron. I just think
You don't mind LeBron?
No, I'm saying I'm not one of these guys who hates on
you're
LeBron.
You're not a LeBron hater.
Yeah, there's a lot of people who hate on
I
him.
don't mind LeBron. 610-632-0975.
I don't mind him.
Mike Missanelli Show continues.
97.5 The Fanatics Knockout Tournament is back Wednesday.
By now, you know everything that went on today, including the trade of C.J. Gardner-Johnson for an offensive lineman who is kind of like a reclamation project. Former first-round pick, Texas A&M. They must like and they must think they can build. Listen, you're putting him with the best offensive line coach in the league, right? So to me, it's a very low risk. If you get a starting player out of that guy, it would be a steal. Anyway, 610-632-0975. Phillies today. This is very interesting. I don't know if I've ever encountered this where they stay on the road. Like they played the Twins yesterday. They had to travel, and then they had to travel to play the Red Sox today. Where are the Red Sox still in Winter Haven? Where the Red Sox train? So I'm thinking they didn't come back to Clearwater. They stayed on the road, which meant more hotel money they had to spend.
They got that kind of cash,
I guess. Anyway, they're on the road at the Red Sox today. Yesterday against the Twins, they hammered Pablo Lopez. 8 hits in 3 innings for Pablo Lopez against the Phillies yesterday. Let's look at some of the stars. Who had 2 hits? Cody Clemens. Hey, he's just a hitter.
I like him.
Cody Clemens hit 375 in the spring. Guess who also had 2 knocks? Your boy, Cal Stevenson.
Well, now with Dubs being out for a little while, does Stevenson have a shot to make this team?
He's hit 120 with those 2 hits.
Well, who's going to be the last bench guy?
I don't know. But Brandon Marsh hit $158. He had 1 hit yesterday. He's not having a great spring.
Who's that?
Brandon Marsh.
Yeah, he's
but Alec Boehm with a hit yesterday. He's hitting .304, slugging .739. But that's not the special talent that he has, Bill.
Well, he got another ribby already today.
He did?
Phils are up 2-0. Yeah, Rojas with a big double.
Don't shortchange Alec Boehm because he has the gift of communication. Can we hear Alec Boehm tell this enthralling story, Austin?
One of the wilder things I've seen on a baseball field was the Angel Hernandez ejection on the check swing, and I'm on deck for this. Bryce is walking off the field after he lets Angel know he missed one, and he launches his helmet over the net, over my head, over the dugout, over the net, into the stands. Kid caught it.
Did you sign it?
I think he ended up getting it back and signing it for him and everything.
Awesome.
And
see, that's great.
Best day of the kid's life, but I think Bryce got in a little trouble.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry.
Riveting story.
It's absolutely riveting, and I can imagine. Come gather, children, and sit in a semicircle because we have a special treat.
Well, let me ask you then.
Alec Boehm is going to speak with the class.
If he's not a great storyteller, not a great communicator, sulks like crazy on a baseball diamond, what's Aaron Dolan saying?
Oh, stop with this, Aaron Dolan.
He's got to be
obsessed.
He's got to have a great personality.
Aaron Dolan being with Alec Boehm. Why? Why are you obsessed? They're 2 young kids that were attracted to each other. 2 blonde-haired, good-looking people. What's your beef?
Alec Boehm. Here's what bothers me about Boehm. And I'm seeing this on Twitter. I actually saw somebody tweet it last night. Luke Archaney does a nice job covering the Phillies. He tweeted out, I think this is going to be an Alec Boehm revenge season. All that trade talk. He's going to come out. He's going to hit 30 home runs this year. I actually think all that trade talk is going to make things worse. I think what you're going to see from Alec Boehm is it's inevitable that in baseball you have a little bit of a lull, right? You can't have 162 games. You're going to hit a little bit of a lull. You're going to go into a little bit of a slump. And when Alec Boehm does that, what do you think's going to happen? I think you're going to see sulking like you've never sulked before, Alec Boehm. And that's what my biggest fear is that once he hits the inevitable slump, you're going to see the same guy you saw that got benched in the postseason last year. That's more of my problem with Alec Boehm, not the Aaron Dolan.
I don't have one problem with Alec Boehm at all. I think he's a really good hitter.
You didn't have a problem that he got benched in the postseason last year?
I have a problem that he sulks, and I think he's going to have to stop that. I think that's easily stoppable. Just grow up, kid. That's all I say.
You think he's going to grow up this year?
Yeah, I think that.
You think the trade talks woke him up?
Yes, I think so.
I hope you're right, because I agree with you. The kid can play. I'd like to see a little bit more power from him.
I got no problem. He's got no personality, but I got no problem with the kid himself as a ball player. Today's starting lineup was Bryson Stott. Now, this is the same guys that started yesterday, so they kept him on the road there. Johan Rojas, Brandon Marsh hitting at 3-hole, Alec Boehm, your cleanup hitter. Call him your buddy, Kennedy. Rafael Marchand is your catcher today. Christian Arroyo. See, they took 2 catchers on that because Stubbsy caught yesterday, didn't he? Didn't Stubbs catch yesterday?
No, it was the other guy.
It was Marchand?
No, it wasn't Marchand either.
Oh, they didn't take Stubbs on the trip?
Hold on. Who was it yesterday?
It was Henry.
Yes. It was Henry yesterday.
Yeah,
So they must have taken
Patrick
2.
Henry. Give me liberty, give me death. Christian Arroyo is your first baseman.
It's a great pull by you. It's a Revolutionary War reference right there.
Yeah, I'm shocked that you picked that.
Yes.
I'm shocked. Rodolfo Castro is your shortstop. Gabriel Rincones is your right fielder today. Who's pitching for the Phillies? You know?
Who did they go on?
Nick Abel.
It's Mick Abel.
He's
today.
throwing some heat today, baby.
Against Lucas Giolito. Oh, that's a pitching matchup there at JetBlue Park. All right, let's go back to the phones. Oh, our buddy Greg from Bethlehem's checking in. What's up, Greggy?
Hey, nobody's called me Greggy since my mother when I was about 5, but you know it.
Yeah, we're all chummy
works.
here. I'm like in a hockey locker room sometimes. You know.
Well, I appreciate that. You know, I think the phrase you were looking for earlier was cautiously optimistic.
No, I wasn't looking for that phrase. I had my own phrase.
Oh, okay. Well, it seemed to fit. You know.
Yeah.
I was wondering, with all of these defensive losses, what do you think the relationship is, or the conversations are, between Howie and Vic Fangio? Do you think Vic is somebody that just sits back and says, "Okay, I'll work with whatever you give me," or you think he digs his heels in?
Listen, I think it was really simple. The fact that they got rid of Isaiah Rodgers and Oren Burks is like, Vic, what do you think of these guys? We can get by without those guys. We'll be okay with anybody. I can work with anybody. They're not that special, and that's why I think Howie goes along those guidelines. Now, I guarantee you, he said, "I'd love to keep Milton Williams and Josh Sweat, but I know Howie what you're up against. So I know that's an impossibility. So whoever we have, I like the guys that we played in there last year. I like them, except for Huff. If I can get Huff to play this year, I think we're good. I think that's what the conversation was.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. I get the feeling like Vic is somebody that has seen everything and feels that he can mold anybody to his system. Well, most anybody. Huff doesn't seem to be picking it up very well, but anybody with some talent, it seems like he can work with.
Yeah. And I guarantee you he makes judgments on these guys. Because those guys, when they didn't get a lot of money, those fringe guys like Oren Burks and Isaiah Rodgers, they didn't sign for a lot of money. So you probably could have kept them. But I'm sure Howie goes, "Hey, Vic, tell me about these guys." He goes, they're all right. And that was enough for them to, not make the move.
Yeah, you think there's enough free agents out there to fill in the gaps?
No.
Or are they going to have to?
No, I think they're going
to hit on.
Yeah, they'll have to hit on the draft picks, but there's also got some guys that'll be released during training camps that they'll pluck some guys. I think they'll be fine. Bill doesn't. Bill's a little more worried than me.
Well, Bill's cautiously optimistic.
Now, Bill is really, he's not optimistic at all. He's cautious. But thanks for the call there, Greg. Yeah, but Bill is very cautious.
I'm cautious because I just think it's asking a lot to hit on every single one of the replacements. I mean, you're losing a lot of guys who contributed to a Super Bowl winning team, and I get it's the NFL, and I understand the way the salary cap works and free agency, and that's going to happen. But to hit on every single one of these replacements, I mean, we're now up to 5 guys who played significant snaps on that defense.
But you're also forgetting about understudies, Bill. 610-632-0975. Back after this.
Fanatic Sports Update.
I'm Austin Jones, and this is your Fanatic Sports Update. NFL free agency is underway, and the players have been flocking the Eagles' nest. Safety CJ GJ has been traded to the Houston Texans for a 2026 draft pick, and also guard Kenyon Green. Milton Williams signed with the Patriots. Josh Sweat signed with the Cardinals. Isaiah Rodgers to the Vikings. Orrin Burks to the Bengals, and the Eagles also traded quarterback Kenny Pickett to the Browns for a fifth-round draft pick and a quarterback in Dorian Thompson-Robinson. The 76ers fell to the Hawks 132-123 last night. Up next are the Raptors Wednesday night. Tip-off is set for 7:30, and you can listen to the game here on 97.5 The Fanatic. The Flyers are back on the ice as they host the Senators tonight in South Philly. Puck drop is set for 7 p.m., and you can listen to the game on 97.5 The Fanatic. This update is also brought to you by Rapid Radios. Rapid Radios are instant push-to-talk walkie-talkies offering national LTE coverage. For a limited time, go to rapidradios.com now for 60% off and free UPS shipping. Add code RADIO, that's code RADIO, and get an extra 5% off. I'm Austin Jones on the home of the 76ers and Flyers, 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
this is, Bill. Get back into the 90s. Seether.
I don't recognize it.
Come on, Bill.
You pick all this music?
I pick every tune that comes in here.
So you picked Sabrina Carpenter earlier?
Yes, I did. Seether is the song. Now, what's the artist here? Austin? It's a chick band. Seether song. Let me see. Who does that? Who is that? Are they named Seether?
There's a band called Seether, but they're not. There's no women in it.
No, that Seether band is. I interviewed that guy who was the lead singer. His name, that guy was with that Amy Lee from Evanescence.
Oh, it's Veruca Salt.
Veruca Salt. Yeah, there you go.
Now you know
Veruca Salt.
You know what movie Veruca Salt's from?
That's Alice in Wonderland.
Incorrect.
That is what is it? Something like that.
I want an Oompa Loompa now.
Oh, it's Willy Wonka.
Willy Wonka. Did you like that? That was a pretty good Veruca Salt.
That's pretty good. That's Willy Wonka.
I want it now.
Seether is a rock band that was fronted by a guy named Sean Morgan, who I interviewed back in my rock days.
They were interviewed a bunch of people.
They were actually a pretty good. They were a little edgy metal, but they were a good band. But that guy was with Amy Lee, that Evanescence, that singer. She's got the voice of an angel. They were like they
were together for a while.
They were together for a while. See, I know these rock tidbits.
You know a lot about music.
Yeah. Anyway,
not as much about football since you're not concerned about all these losses.
Yeah, you're probably right about that. Tomorrow is our General Knowledge Wednesday. Now Ray will not be here.
No, Ray's not here tomorrow, and if they win tonight, he's not here Thursday.
This will be you versus the audience tomorrow, Bill.
Audience has zero chance then.
Okay. Well, we'll see if they do. But tomorrow, first of all, I'm leading into the Fanatic Knockout Tournament is happening on March 26th, and you can score some tickets actually today. You enter today's keyword on our contest page at 975thefanatic.com for your chance to win a spot. You have till the end of the day to enter this keyword on our website. Just go to the contest page on our website, 975 The Fanatic. Each winner gets a pair of tickets for the game that night versus the Wizards, but after the game is the most important thing because you'll head on to the Sixers court to play knockout right on that NBA court. Today's keyword is miss, M-I-S-S, as in what will Bill do in knockout, or Mikey miss. Whatever you prefer.
I'm not going to miss.
Miss, M-I-S-S. The keyword winner yesterday was Keith Smith from Yaden.
Congratulations, Keith.
Yes, so tomorrow, for General Knowledge Wednesday, not only are we giving away a gift card for food.
To where?
I'll tell you tomorrow. We're giving 5 spots in our knockout tournament tomorrow.
5 spots?
5 spots for General Knowledge Wednesday tomorrow. So if you get a question correctly tomorrow, you're eligible for one of the knockout spots and a gift card to a highly acclaimed restaurant.
Now, have you decided if you're participating in knockout? You gonna shoot, or are you just gonna MC?
Oh, I don't MC.
You just gonna be a spectator? No, you got to participate.
I don't know. Yeah, it's like Da Vinci entering a paint by numbers contest.
Yeah, it's exactly what it is.
You know what I'm saying?
Austin, you gonna be in it? This is your first one, right? You're on mute.
Mute. Yeah, Austin. Get it together. Yeah, you're
still on mute.
Right. There we go.
There it is.
Had the microphone in the wrong program. I talked to the big man Vito. I should be there. I'm excited for it. Have you shot on an NBA court at all?
I did it last year, performed very well, and then I was wrongfully accused of colluding with my wife to keep me in the tournament. I was in like the Final Four from the Fanatic last year.
I've had some runs down at the practice facility when I was HBAC employee, and I tell you, first time getting out there, that line is pretty far, but hopefully we can make it rain in the knockout contest.
Yeah, it's not that far. But I haven't played basketball in over a long time, so
I haven't shot a ball since last year's knockout.
Yeah, but you can hit a 100-mile-an-hour fastball, so you wouldn't have a problem just showing up and making shots.
Well, the question is, can you guys actually shoot though?
Dude, you
know who you're talking to over here?
Dude.
You know who Mikey Miss is?
Yeah. He doesn't know anything about my background, evidently.
Well, that's fine. It makes two of us because I didn't know he used to be on the air.
At least I knew that part.
Austin, I was a precocious basketball player. Now, I know you would find that hard to believe, but I played on a really good high school team that played in a state title game. But when I was 14 years old, dude, I scored 43 points in a basketball camp game.
That's a lot of work you did
when
there.
I was 14. Now, this was the Sunny Hill basketball camp in the Pocono Mountains. And, and it wasn't all little white kids playing. You know what I'm saying?
I got you.
Right? 43 I dropped on fools.
And what were the people saying?
They gave me the shooting trophy. Sunny Hill presented me with the camp shooting trophy at the end of the camp.
Still got it? On the mantle?
I don't know where that could be.
You got to find that.
Yeah, I don't know where that could be. It's probably gone. I don't know. I don't keep stuff like that, really. So
you don't keep a lot of stuff. See, I would paint you as maybe like a hoarder.
There was no 3-point shot. I don't believe so. I must have made. Let's see. I must have made 16 of 19.
From 3 or from the free throw?
Just
in general.
In general. And so then the rest were free throws, which I never missed.
So who was your player comp?
JJ Redick.
And you hate JJ. Maybe hate's a strong word. You dislike JJ.
He's a punk. I was not a punk. No, I was kind of a punk too. Anyway, we got a phone call or no?
No, but we do have a text.
All right, let's get to the text board. What do you got?
All righty. So, no name, but read through the tea leaves. They're stacking draft picks, even though they just are. Well, this guy can't text. All right, here we go. They're stacking draft picks. The 2 picks they traded, plus a bunch of comp picks for next season. The free agent market is going up in price, and it's way too high for the Eagles. They're going to stop and look at the cheap bargains, and then also to see if there's any trade market around the draft.
Okay. Yeah, probably. Yeah. Probably. I mean, they still need pieces, and they are getting some compensatory picks that are for the 2026 draft. Like, what's pretty crazy is Milton Williams was a 3rd-round draft pick. Most likely, the Eagles are going to get a 3rd-round compensatory pick for him.
Yeah.
Because of the amount of money he got. They'll get another one for Josh Sweat. But it doesn't help you. See, this is the thing. Those draft picks, unless they flip them for other players, aren't going to really help you this coming season. And I thought the idea was, let's run it back. Let's try to win it again. So I'm still curious as to what they will do to hopefully run it back in 2025. Mike is more pragmatic.
Still a little more nervous than me. I go, come on. This is the point of drafting guys, getting them indoctrinated into the system, believing they're taking it to the next level. I think they've done that. We'll see how that works out. Now, I reserve the right to rip the crap out of them if it doesn't work out. That's the thing about me.
That is the thing about you.
610-632-0975. On the other side, we'll look at the contenders in the NFC East, what they did and what they're building, including the Washington Commanders. Mike Missanelli Show continues.
We want to hear from you, so text us.
What is this?
This is MJ Linderman.
No time to apologize.
This really gets the mood going.
She's leaving you.
This is the Eagles
That's
free agents right now.
We've all had heartbreak, Bill. All right. In any event, let's look at the Vikings. You've been paying attention to the Vikings and what they're doing. They seem to be a team that the Eagles are going to have to deal with next year, right?
The only thing that the Vikings are lacking right now is there's a question mark at quarterback because J.J. McCarthy, I'm assuming they got a lot of faith in him, but is he going to be a starting quarterback in the NFL? I think he will. And I think if you look at what Kevin O'Connell's done over the last couple of seasons, anybody they plug in there has done well. You had Sam Darnold last year, Kirk Cousins 2 years ago. You even had Josh Dobbs step in and win a couple of games. But they're signing a ton of people. I mean, they signed Javon Hargrave and Jonathan Allen at defensive tackle. They added Isaiah Rodgers. They brought back Byron Murphy on the defense. They got center Ryan Kelly under contract. You know they still have Justin Jefferson and Josh Addison at the wide receiver position. Is that his first name? Jordan Addison. I knew it didn't sound right when I said it. Jordan Addison. They're a team to worry about. I mean, they had a good season this year, but Sam Darnold just turned back into Sam Darnold when the postseason started. But that's a team to look out for.
Now he gone. So you're gonna the kid is their quarterback, or what do you think they'll do there? J.J. McCarthy will be their quarterback.
I think that's what they're going to run with.
All right. Well, we'll see. That kid's good. That's the only bad spot, really. That kid really is going to have a big adjustment to play NFL football.
Who's that, McCarthy?
Yeah.
Well, it helps when you got Jefferson and Addison on the outside.
It does, but still, you're going to have to be poised in the pocket. Like, he's not used to any of that. This sit-out year. He had none of that.
That Kevin O'Connell's like the quarterback whisperer, though. When you tell me Sam Darnold comes in and wins, what they win, 14 games this year, something ridiculous?
Yeah.
And they still have T.J. Hawkinson at tight end. I mean, they got a lot of weapons, and they re-upped Aaron Jones, if I'm not mistaken, at running back.
All right, let's look at the Commanders. Traded for Tunsil, traded for Debo, signed Javon Kinlaw, Bobby Wagner, Zach Ertz, John Bates re-signed. They're making a move. What do you think?
So a lot of people are saying that the Commanders are building their team just like the Sixers, with a lot of old veterans that they're overpaying for.
Tunsil's an important acquisition for them, though. Don't you think?
He is, but here's my question, and this is, again, let's relate it to the 76ers. When you talk about how Daryl Morey, why are you the only one that's willing to give Paul George 4 years? I look at the Houston Texans, and I'm thinking, you need offensive line.
Yeah, they do need offensive line.
So what are you trading the guy for?
Yeah.
So there's got to be something going on there. I mean, he gets a lot of penalties, but he's a good tackle. It's just interesting the way they're trying to build this team. The Commanders had a ton of cap space. They had a lot of draft capital. And instead of using it for young players to try to build, they're going all in on some older guys taking a shot, which I think will be helpful for the Eagles.
All right, let's look at something we haven't talked about today, but I can't figure it out. Dallas Goedert, a story today in the Inquirer, it could be a player traded or released by the Eagles because they're anticipating a contract renewal that's going to come up soon, and they don't want to pay that. Can they afford to do that? We talked a little bit about it yesterday. We really haven't addressed it today on the offensive side of the ball for the Eagles. It's been all defense today. What do you think, Billy?
I don't know, man. When there's smoke, there's fire, and you're seeing this reported by a lot of people now. It was first reported by Jeff McClain last week. We talked about it briefly. It seems like the Eagles are reluctant to have him play on the final year of his deal where his cap hit is close to $12 million. So he probably doesn't want to play on the final year. They don't want him to play on a deal where he's got a big cap hit. And if they can't work out an extension and they move on from him, I hate it. I don't see Grant Calcaterra as your tight end number one. He's an okay backup. But when you're a team like the Philadelphia Eagles that relies so heavily on your rushing attack and your tight end is an extension of your offensive line and has to have an ability to run block, I don't see how you can afford to lose a guy like Dallas Goedert. Who are you bringing in? Because once again now, you lose Goddard, You got to replace him. So, I mean, how many guys are you going to ask Howie Roseman to try to replace this offseason? I would hate to see Dallas Goedert out the door. I understand it financially, but what I'm hoping happens is if they work out a short, maybe 2-3 year extension, a friendlier cap number, and you draft a guy this year that maybe is ready 2-3 years from now. That's what I think the plan should be. I'd hate if Goddard gets moved.
By the way, you're fighting Phillies in the top of the second are up 9-0.
Whoa!
Over the Boston Red Sox.
Well, let's see who's got it.
Buddy Kennedy
Wait, yard
with a 3-run home run in the second inning, and they Adam Ottavino, who came in the second inning for the Boston Red Sox, has given up 6 earned runs, 3 walks, and 3 hits. Where you're fighting Phil's pounding the Red Sox today.
Everybody's hitting. Stott, Rojas, Marsh, boom, Kennedy. Marchand's 0 for 2. But how about that? A nice double by Alec Boehm.
How about that? Alec Boehm is stroking. Buddy Kennedy trying to make the team. That belies the fact he's hitting 200 in the season. Bryson Stott hit 2 runs scored from the leadoff spot. What did Rojas do? Did he get an extra base hit, or is that it's a little?
He got a double.
He doubled?
I believe so.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
Wow. Can't keep a good hitter down, Bill.
So wait, what's your prediction for? Let's go back to Boehm for a second.
Go ahead.
You think he's an all-star again this year?
I think he's a good player. The one thing about him, I always thought he should have been more of a power hitter, but that doesn't suit him. Like he's got that hands first through the ball, which is a good way to hit. I just think a guy that's 6'5" would have a little more leverage to pull the ball out of the ballpark, but he's just not that comfortable of a hitter that way. So he gets his hands in front of him. He likes to push the ball to the right center, left center.
Refresh my memory now because I'm forgetting. Where was he in the lineup last year? Where did he bat primarily?
He did hit cleanup a lot.
Was he hitting cleanup a lot?
Yeah, he hit fifth.
So do you think it would benefit him more if he's batting third in between Harper and Schwarber? You think that help him more, or when he was batting cleanup?
No, I think he should be the 3-hole hitter. Yes, I do think he should be.
With Schwarber at cleanup and Harper batting second.
Yeah, I think that should be the lineup.
Yeah, I hope he has a big year.
Mick Abel got out of the first inning with a walk and a strikeout. So 1 inning pitch for him. I don't know if they'll come back with him in the second inning. The Phillies are still at bat, I think. No, the Red Sox did get out of the inning. So we'll see if Abel comes up. But that's a good sign, man.
No, definitely a good sign. It's funny, though. I don't think
people thinking that the Phillies are not like Jason Starr had a big story today about that whether they're trending upward or downward. And so I don't know. I think that they're really a solid team, and I think they're going to be a contender. But they've got the Braves projected to win a lot more games than the Phillies this year, which is interesting because the Phillies pitching staff seems to be tight.
Yeah, I'm looking. It's just the odds, too. The Braves have the best odds to win the NL East.
Yeah, it's really strange.
Well, the Braves are getting healthy this year. But I'm with you. When you look at this Phillies rotation, it'd be pretty surprising if they don't win close to 100 games with the rotation that they have. Yeah. I mean, they won 95 last year, and every fifth day you were rolling out Walker or Phillips or Abel.
Yeah. All right, we got We got Silver in Germantown wants to check in before we get out of here. Silver, what's up, man? You're on 97.5 The Fanatic.
Yeah, what's going on, Mike?
What's happening, bud?
I seen that trade earlier with Gardner-Johnson for Kenyon Green, offensive lineman. Similar to the Mekhi Becton situation, I guess. Like, he wasn't doing too good with his team, and now he's with us.
Yep.
Getting a second chance.
Yeah.
So we were gonna just. I want to get Sidney out there now. Now that he's gone, Gardner-Johnson, getting Sidney Brown out there now as a starter.
So you like? Yeah, we were talking about that a little earlier. So do you think Sidney Brown is ready for that role?
I thought he was ready this year coming up.
You did?
I like Gardner-Johnson coming back. Yeah, I didn't think we needed to get Gardner-Johnson back. I think Brown showed a new spark in his rookie season with that pick 6 in Arizona. He let me know right there that he was ready.
Yeah, I didn't think he was ready. You got to be honest. Last year, I think he's very raw still, but I think they're going to take a chance that maybe he gets a shot. Maybe he gets a shot this year. I don't know. I don't know how Fangio feels about him.
Yeah, I don't know either. But trading Gardner-Johnson give me a good feeling that they got their high on him. So
all right. So you're not that
unless they drafted someone.
You're not that bothered by the fact that C.J. Gardner-Johnson's gone here, as a lot of people are.
No, I'm not bothered by it. No, I'm not.
Okay. All right.
He's not an all-pro. He's not an all-pro player, nothing like that on our defense. All-pro players are still intact. So anything else is just pieces added on.
I got you. All right, man.
And like I said, the final thing, Sidney Brown could have been a starter for this team coming into this year to just pass without Gardner-Johnson, and I feel as though we still would have had the same results.
All right, you got it, Silver. Thanks for the call. I don't agree with that. I don't think Sidney Johnson to me is a I don't know.
Sidney Johnson. Which one are you talking about?
Sidney Johnson.
Sidney Brown or Chauncey Gardner-Johnson?
Sidney Brown.
Put them together.
Sidney Johnson. I melted him. Sidney Brown, I don't think was ready to be an NFL starter. I think he was wild.
Yeah, it didn't help him that he tore his ACL the last game of the year in 2023. And then he starts out the season, I think, on the PUP list last year. So it's hard to know where he would have been if he had a full training camp and all that. So I'm excited for him. I mean, he's got a lot of talent, but you're right. He plays 100 miles an hour. He's got to settle down a little bit where Fangio hopefully could help him out. But I don't know. He was not the first guy off the bench last year. It was Tristan McCullum. Who knows? Maybe they draft a safety. Maybe they make a late move for a veteran safety. Mm-hmm. It's still a long offseason, but right now, yeah, I'm a little nervous.
All right. Tomorrow is General Knowledge Wednesday. And let me just give you a caveat. We have this weird temporary phone system in here. And so when people call us and we put them on hold, you don't hear the show like the old way. You hear music. Don't be fooled by that. Like, just hang in there. We'll get you. I know it's very unnatural for callers to be on hold where they're like Muzak is coming at them and they like waiting for the doctor to pick up. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you don't hear
receptionist. Right, that's the way. So, but tomorrow we're going to need some calls to play General Knowledge Wednesday. So do not be
deterred.
Deterred.
There we go.
Very nice.
And you're going up against me tomorrow. So this I want all the smoke. Bring it.
Yeah. So just be certain that you're going to get your call will be answered, and because a lot of people I think are hanging up. They hear the music. They go, "Wait, did I call the wrong place?" No, you called the right place. We just have a temporary phone system in here right now where we can take some calls at a time. We can stack calls, so it's not just like one call at a time. We can stack, I'm told. Right, Bill?
We can stack. Yeah, just listen to the radio while you're on hold, and then make sure you turn it off when we pull you up.
All right. So thanks, everybody, for listening and participating today. It was a very busy day for us. We'll be back at it tomorrow with General Knowledge Wednesday. Have a great night, everybody. Talk to you tomorrow. Bye-bye.